I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hello. Welcome to Astrology Live. Hey everyone. I'm Alex Harper and I'm joined by Gracey.
Hey everyone.
We're glad you joined us for the first edition of Astrology Live. Here we go. Let's I guess the first thing we were going to discuss is the answer to this week's quiz, right? And the answer actually is that these charts are our charts, right? I know there's one person here in the audience to hear that big reveal, but the charts for this week is actually my chart and Gracey's chart, right? Chart A was the stay-at-home mother and chart B was the lawyer. I'm chart B, Gracey's chart A. So we thought, we're going to be asking you guys tonight to, submit your own charts and, get them read publicly, right? And if we're not willing to show our charts publicly, then, it's a bit hypocritical. So,
Right.
That's why I included, our charts as the ones for the answer for this week's quiz. So we will just, I think we were going to start by going over that. So
Yeah, because I don't really know a better way to introduce yourself than give somebody the key to everything about you.
Yeah, so here, I'll start sharing the screen. So here, this was the question this week, right? And so here we go. This is my chart. So I'm chart B. Now, a lot of you guys said that I was the stay-at-home mom. I'm kind of shocked at you guys.
That was amazing.
I
But the
know, right? Like, do
reasoning is
I have
like,
stay-at-home mom energy? Really?
I feel like you have somebody said that like you seem like you would stay at home and live off of someone else's money, and I was just like, what a beautiful way to say like you have eighth house placements.
Mhm. Which it's funny because it's kind of the opposite. It's always been like the opposite for me. I always tend to be the person with the money. Um, maybe that's the other side of the eighth house is that sometimes you get it, sometimes you're giving it away, right?
Yeah, Jess said that she knew that it was both of our charts. So yeah, there's some people that did know this. So I feel like there was a slight, and I had my big three in my bio for like 6 days and didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, I know. Well, here, let's switch to your chart then.
Sure.
So
And I have no
here's
problem going
Gracie's
over them.
chart, right? So she's Cancer rising, Aries sun, clearly. Um, and I love this over here, this Saturn and Neptune on the angle of the descendant, and you see that a lot with people that work in they work in film, right, or presenting, and you have worked you've worked in you were a sports media broadcaster, weren't you?
Yeah, I made history in Kansas City as the first female sports radio show and ever. There's been, of course, female hosts that have shown up on other shows, but it was a really big move, and that was 7 years ago. So that seems like a Saturn cycle ago. And I actually remarked on it for International Women's Day. And I think the coolest part here is that like both of our charts were very different lawyer energy. Like I think a lot of people talked about how you would be protecting those. One of them was like the houseless community, just
Oh
because.
wait, your audio just went out, Gracie.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Back. It's back.
Yeah, this is a new stream setup. So yeah, there's a lot of things that can kind of indicate different about.
Oh wait, you're going out again.
All right, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Pretty quiet for me.
Okay.
There you're louder again.
All right. So I'm going to talk as close to the
There you
microphone.
go. That's great. That's perfect.
Great. I'll just move this directly into my mouth.
Yeah. I think that's what we need
Perfect.
to
So
do.
yeah, there's a lot of different indicators here that I mean it's an exalted sun ruled by an exalted Mars. It's going to be a little bit spicy, but I love my sun square Saturn. That's one of my favorite aspects that I've learned about just because it explains my childhood a lot. So it was cool to learn about that. And rising signs really changed the game when I learned about those for sure.
Yeah, and I like here that we've got Ceres here. Um, Ceres is in a trine almost exactly to the ascendant, which is Cancer, which is the
Yeah.
mom sign. So I feel like here, Ceres. I mean, if you go in my chart, um,
Yeah,
I
I don't think
also
we spent
have.
enough time on your chart.
Yeah, well, we'll go back and forth. We'll go back and
Okay,
forth. So
perfect.
I have Ceres trying the ascendant, but it's still the same. It's not near as
Mm.
exact, right? I mean, I don't know if that's a great signature for the mother, but you also have, so here, my ruler of the fifth house, Jupiter, is cadent, right? It's falling from the angle. Whereas if we go to yours, your Jupiter, or your ruler of the fifth house is Mars, and Mars here is advancing to the angle, right? So your ruler of the fifth house has more juice than I do. So fifth
Yeah,
house
my fifth house
themes,
is ruled by Libra, actually. So it's the Venus.
it's
It's
Venus. Oh,
actually
I was going by whole
oh,
sign
you're fine. Yeah,
rulership,
yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah, I was going by whole sign rulership because you are Cancer rising. It's just like
Yes, yes.
automatic thing I do. But
Yeah, I
well,
love wholesome
Venus,
because it's really
where's
given
Venus?
me
And
a new perspective.
Venus is still advancing, right? Venus is in the
Yes.
11th house for you, so Venus is still, it's not cadent, right? Versus my ruler of the fifth house is cadent, right?
Hmm.
That's the point I was trying to make. So whether you use Placidus or whether you use whole sign, both ways the ruler of the fifth house is um, advancing to an angle, right? Versus in my chart, the chart that does not have any children, the ruler of my fifth house is falling from the angle, right? So I thought that was, you know, one key. If we were going to look at the mother signature, but we could also look at the attorney signature. So what did you think about that from my chart, Gracie?
In your chart, I really love obviously the moon ruled ninth house. What I immediately thought, since that ninth house starts at 5 degrees Cancer, that degree is represented by an automobile wrecked by a train in the Sabian symbols. And so I would think that you're like in car injury lawyer or something along the lines of like catastrophic situations. So there's definitely something there about being either in the victim or around people who have killed others. That's another signature of that 5 degree Cancer. That's the Leo degree of Cancer. I don't know if other people have followed any of my work, but I do work a lot with degree theory and the Sabian symbols, and I've kind of spun it into my own little world here. The other thing that I really liked about your Mercury too was just that, to me, a seventh house Mercury is always going to argue with you. They're going to go back and forth. Like, some of the best arguers I know are Libras, obviously the justice system. So having a Mercury in the house of Libra and the house that kind of like rules that justice scales, it kind of made sense to me.
Yeah, I like both of those. So with what you pointed out about the Cancer degree, I really like that because, I mean, the specific kind of law that I do is criminal defense, right? And I do major felony cases, right? So this is like the worst crimes that exist, basically, murder and the rest of it. Um, and the Mercury sextile Jupiter in the ninth, Jupiter's exalted. Another thing is that people that have, one thing I've pointed out in the quizzes before, I had a quiz before where we were talking about psychiatrists, right? And the key with the psychiatrist, the counselor, was that they had Mercury and Venus hugging an angle on either side of an angle, right?
That's
And
amazing.
the delineation for this is like, soothing words, right? Like being able to talk to other people that are going through difficult things and being able to, calm them down and soothe them with what you say, right? And this is a very common thing you find in people that take on any kind of counseling role where they're dealing one-on-one with people, where, therapists, lawyers, um, you know, anyone that is anyone that's in that client um, consultant kind of relationship where they're dealing with other people's problems. So that's another thing that points towards lawyer, right? Because if we go back to yours and we look at your angle here and the planets that are hugging your angle, it's Neptune and Saturn, right? And Neptune's like photography, and Saturn is, like structure, right? And images and structure. And so like, you know, I feel like this is and Saturn's also conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is the planet associated with electricity, television, right? These kinds of like new modern types of technologies are all associated with Uranus. And so having all of these planets really close on your descendant, like the way you interact with the world is, more, it's through a mediated lens versus in my chart, the interaction that I have with the world is, I'm talking directly to people, right? What do you think about that? I
I
think that's a
love
really
that
cool distinction
because
and way to look at it.
having that seventh house Mercury has been quite a signature for attorneys. Cosmic Shit Show pointed that out in the chat. There's like, one of my favorite parts is the Neptune and Saturn being so close. I having my Saturn in Placidus in sixth house, and I did equine photography for a long time when I lived in Arizona. So I was very much on the other side of the camera, in sixth house being ruled traditionally Sagittarius or Virgo, but having my intercepted Sagittarius there is something. I don't have any Sagittarius at all, no asteroids, nothing. I've looked, I've scoured. And so I really don't know that Sagittarius energy much, but the horses came out through that. And I thought that was kind of cool. I've also been like on the other side of the camera as a model, so that was fun. A little period in my life in 2016 or so. Um, but it's been really interesting to see how Uranus just pops up and really disrupts a lot of things. And until I knew um, my chart and seeing astrology as a whole and really starting to understand myself, I've had diseases randomly pop up, but they go away as quickly as they show up. When I get sick, it's like for a day and then I'm fine. So there's a lot of cool things that you can see about that. But as far as the legal side goes, I do get in a lot of legal trouble. I did up until I was about 30. I had a big mouth and I like to fight
Oh
people in
yeah,
court, and
yeah.
so I
You've
had to
got a
start a
rap
relationship
sheet,
with
huh?
lawyers. So yeah, a little bit, but you don't need to look it up or anything. It's mostly municipal courts, so just neighborhood crime, which seems like a very Gemini 12th house thing too. So
Yeah, no, Gemini in the 12th house, this moon in the 12th house up here. I mean, I've often seen 12th house placements associated with things involving images, right? Like photography. And it's, I don't know, the 12th house, because Gemini in the 12th, I don't know, what's it like? It's like maybe, maybe people always whispering behind your back. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's that Gemini moon in the 12th house like?
Growing up, I was closer to horses, which are usually represented by the 12th house as large animals.
Hmm.
I had a sibling pass away before I was born, and so I always like to look at the 12th house as the condition of the womb when you entered the world.
Oh
And
my God, are you
mine,
serious? I have the
yeah,
same thing. I have a sibling that was died before I was born too. Wow.
wow.
I did not
And
know
your
that.
12th house, that'd be hella interesting to dive into the degrees there because having an intercepted 12th house, it's not really something you think about, but like your Libra, let me look at that because I'm right here on Leo. But Libra 10
Yeah.
degrees is represented by a canoe is approaching safety through dangerous waters, which is very much the womb. So that's where your
Mhm.
12th house starts. Wow.
That's really cool. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on that, but I thought
No,
it
I
was
love
crazy
that.
that
Please.
both of us had that. We did not know this, guys. Um,
Yeah, that's a really big deal because, like, the 12th house shows the condition. Mine was intercepted. My parents didn't know if I was going to be born alive or not. A lot of autoimmune conditions when I was young, and they thought I was deaf, but I just had a speech impediment. But my dad has a really weird voice. Like, he's known around everywhere he goes, he's known for his voice. It's very strong and very prominent and very recognizable. And so I didn't really have the best role models for speech. And so that was why it was hard for me to talk. And so they diagnosed me with all these problems. And it turns out, just speech, which I think the Gemini 12th house Chiron shows up really strongly there. And it's square my North node. So it's like, I had to learn how to control it. And it's a daily thing. So even talking today, it's like, hey, you have to choose to make those R and S and T and L sounds. So it was kind of cool. I had the Wheel of Fortune speech impediment.
it's interesting that you say that because your Mercury is pretty strong, right? Otherwise, other than the fact that it's in Pisces, right? It's about to station direct or just has station direct, I believe. Um, and yeah, I believe it's station direct like a day or two before you were born. So, usually Mercury stationing direct is good, but here in this case, like, Pisces, it's like Pisces is a very for Mercury, we get a lot of like artistic, creative types, but they have like idiosyncratic speech. Like James Joyce is a great example of this. James Joyce, he has uh, Mercury in Pisces, and he's famous for making up new words, right?
I do
A
that all
lot
the
of,
time. I take
yeah,
like one of them is like I have fruitation. I'm like, that's gonna come to fruitation soon. And someone's like, that's not a word. And then I got accused of making up lackadaisical. And I'm like, that's it what? No,
that's
I
definitely a
didn't make
word.
that up. Right. And
That's
I got
definitely a
told that by
word.
an English major. I was so pissed.
So, for everyone that's just joining us, we are going over the two charts that were in the quiz this week, and they are me and Gracie's charts, if you hadn't already caught on. So, later on in the show, we're going to be asking you guys to, you know, if you guys want to come on and we will read your chart live, we'll plug it in. But, I just want to make this disclaimer now that obviously, by the very nature of what we're doing here, anything we say is going to be the very first thing that pops in our head when looking at your chart for the first time. So, not the most in depth astrological analysis that we could offer, right? So, this is for fun, right? I am, kind of treating these readings with the same level of care that I would if I ran into you as a stranger in a bar and was going to read your chart just for fun, right? So, don't take it too seriously. If you have a very serious concern about astrology that you want, like, more in-depth reading, you can book with either one of us or any number of great astrologers that are out there. So, just wanted to get that out of the way. How are things doing? How are we doing, Gracey?
Good. The chat's looking good. A lot of Leo had a question. Aren't all people born within a certain area going to have the same intercepted houses? I thought angles are based of east and west horizon in the middle of the sky.
So, um, the intercepted houses do have to do the way the Placidus is calculated does have to do with the latitude, right? And that's why when you get people that are born in extreme northern latitudes, systems like Placidus start to break down because, like I was up in northern Canada last year, and I brought my laptop along, and I had Solar Fire on there, and I like plugged in the coordinates of where I was, and looked at the chart of the moment, and like, it was like huge. Like basically everything was intercepted, right? So it basically, these kinds of quadrant house systems can break down at extreme latitudes, and that's just the nature of the quadrant house system. I mean, even if you use equal houses from either the ascendant or the midheaven, you will get the same problem in northern latitudes as well. So, really, the extreme latitudes, there's not. I guess you just read it whole sign. That if I was given that chart, if I was given a chart from someone born at like the North Pole or something like that, I would read their chart whole sign and not use any of any quadrant system just because for that reason. Let's see if there's
That'd be
anyone else that
badass
has
if you
anything to
got
say.
Santa Claus's chart.
Santa Claus's chart?
Yeah. If you got that, born at the North Pole.
I do not have that. I
was gonna
kill
say
for that,
Buddy the
though.
Elf, but right?
So,
Yeah, and then my
go
bad.
ahead.
I was just gonna read some more from the chat. Neptunian Mercuries and getting accused of lying. Yep, that is definitely a thing. And then Aqua and Pisces Mercs are infamous for that. Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, does anyone want their chart read? So, if you guys want to join in, basically just post your Twitter or other kind of contact information into the chat, and I will send you a link so that you can join. So, anyone that wants to do that, you post it in now, and then we'll go on to that. But we can go back over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can look more at your chart or any observations that we can pull up, like from whatever you want to do while we wait for. Because I mean, free chart readings. Who doesn't want that? Like, hello. I love this. Yeah, your Pisces Mars, like I know I talk about Pisces degrees all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, the death degrees of Pisces. But having a Pisces Mars in the fifth house, the death degrees of Pisces, it's represented 28 degrees in the Sabian symbols as a fertile garden under the full moon. And that's the karmic degree. So I don't know, you weren't born under a full moon, but there's always that full moon.
Full moon is my favorite moon phase, though. I love the full moon.
Yes, I love that. And then 29 degrees Pisces, where we all just experience Mars. That anaretic Mars on Tuesday was rough. 29 degrees Pisces is light breaking into many colors as it passes through a prism. Always reminds me of that Pink Floyd album. And then the last degree of Pisces is a majestic rock formation resembling a face is idealized by a boy who takes it as his ideal of greatness. As he grows up, he begins to look like it. And I feel like that being the very last degree of the zodiac is very much like, when we are young and we come into this world and we're all bursting into this world, and that's like the 0 degrees Aries energy that we all just collectively experience too. That was very much like a thing we would like look up to people a lot. And so when you look up to someone, you're like, hey, I really want to like be that person when I grow up. And it can be very much innocent. It could be like our parents, it can be a random like athlete, it can be a creative artist, especially with the Pisces Mars, it's going to be music, music, music. So your connection to music is strong here and it's very transformational. So I can almost see you being like a record producer or like involved with music here somehow, or having like a lot of epiphanies if you're on psychedelics and listening to music.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually did. I do play music, and I used to do it a lot more when I was younger. I was in several bands, went on different tours. We put out a few different records under different names, and even had my own little tape imprint that I did. 10 years or more ago now. But music is like a pet hobby of mine, and I've got music that I've been working on, and it's basically done, except I can't get satisfactory vocal takes because I'm terrible at singing, absolutely terrible, and it's just kind of sitting there waiting for me to finish it eventually.
I dig that. I really do. But like you also have so much energy of just breaking up the monotony with that 29 degrees Aries Venus, like anoretic Aries, anything is going to be powerful, but it's on your descendant. It's like, I don't know, in another life, you must have like just done some crazy shit for love. Or maybe even now, you've put your body through some crazy shit for love, or you've put your mind, that 29 degrees Aries is just like the worst of the Aries energy all at once. But in the Sabian symbols, it's like this beautiful thing. So I don't know, how do you embody that?
Well, I mean, it's also got this square ray from Saturn over here, right? So that dampens the party quite a bit.
Dampens the
Um, I
party.
mean, so well, no, it's more like the party still happens. It's just like it's the party where you feel like shit the next day, right? Um,
We had a
you know,
fucking great time, but boy, does this hurt.
yeah. So, I mean, the Venus here. I mean, I feel like Mars brings me more of the romantic entanglements here in the fifth house, ruled by this exalted Jupiter. Um, it's like it's never in short supply, but it's like doesn't, this Aries Venus make sure that it burns out, right? Although I was married for several years, so I guess there is an exception to that. Um, yeah, Venus, we have a complicated relationship, but I like that it's conjunct Vesta. I think that's really cute. Um, I like that about it.
I feel like that's a lot of needing to, make sure that you're taking care of your mental health on a daily basis. But I think any Mars ruled person kind of has to do that already, just so you don't kill everyone, and channeling that out in different, like, have you ever done boxing or anything like along those lines? Just because a lot of the Aries beginning degrees are so gung ho about boxing.
I mean, I have not. I mean, I have had a punching bag that I've used, um, to get stress out sometimes, but that's as close as I've come to doing any kind of boxing. I'm not trained or anything like that. Um, yeah, well, let's go to yours. Or has anyone responded in the chat?
Yeah, there are a couple people. The one username Bean Dip asked, "How about Uranus 9? I assume 9 degrees Libra conjunct ascendant. Any thoughts on this placement?"
I mean, it's hard to give thoughts on a isolated placement. Uranus rising is often associated with people like, that are involved in things involving technology, engineering, or aircraft. But I mean, you would want to see other things supporting Uranus for that in order to say that. I mean, that's just like a kind of broad strokes thing to throw out there, right? Really, we'd like to see the entire chart. I mean, we showed you ours. Are you guys really not willing to show yours. Is that what's going on here?
Let's see if there's Josh said me. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys can just put your username in. I guess Bean Dip said that they were short on time, so that's why they didn't send in their chart. But here's another one. We can show this comment, I think, on screen. I'm gonna test this feature. I think. Yes.
Yeah, I've learned if anything in Pisces is a slave, Jupiter can witness it. Yeah, Jupiter being able to see the placements definitely helps, right? The ruler definitely helps. Oh, here's something we can talk about briefly, talking about witnessing. So
Yeah, Winnie
I threw this up earlier.
Winnie Wong said, Alex, you can show mine.
Okay, all right.
Did you hear me, Alex?
Yes, I heard you. So
Okay. Sorry, my
yes,
mic's
I
been like
put
randomly.
this up
I know
earlier.
it's, I think, my headphones. Oh, perfect.
So I said that this looks like when the protests could get worse, right? Or when punitive action will be taken against the protesters. I put this up just a little bit ago.
Ooh, that 12 degree
And
Sagittarius.
yeah, because we've got the Mars conjunct Rahu. The moon will, over the course of this day, perfect its aspect to Mars. It'll be conjunct the Saturn of the U.S. Sibley chart, and Jupiter and Venus over here. They won't be any help with what's going on in the situation. And also, Jupiter and Venus natally are in a square aspect. So, even if they're going to be able to come to the aid, it's going to be, kind of, they're going to be joining the fray, if anything. But their transit location means that they can't, their ability to join the fray is going to be limited. So, this was something I put up in the fact that Jupiter and Venus here can't witness what's going on, and Jupiter is the ascendant ruler of the United States. I thought this was this might be a good day.
This is
that
very much
yeah.
so. Like the rising degree is represented in the Sabian symbols as a flag turns into an eagle, the eagle into a chanticleer saluting the dawn. In case you guys haven't seen it, this is the book I'm using. It's very torn up. I really don't want another copy because I've been using it forever, but this is the 360 Degrees of Wisdom by Linda Hill, and it's the entire Sabian symbols and all of them. But it's very much a very strong patriotic degree. So this is very much regardless of what side you're on, it's very loud, very prominent. And saluting the dawn is like, gives out that energy like we ride at dawn.
That's really cool. I love that symbol. So I'm just pulling up her chart.
Yeah, I guess you've got a couple DMs now, so that should be good. We have plenty of people that are tuning in
I've
and
got some
offering to
DMs.
share. Yeah, I'm excited. That means that we can all just get over the because Alex really convinced me within a matter of 2 seconds. I was like, very much hard no, not going to show my chart. And then in 2 seconds, I'm like, all right, you got me. And I was like, all right, let's just get it over with. And it's like, let's just demystify this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's the big deal, right? I mean, I used to think it was like posting a nude on the timeline, but, what's the big deal? A lot of people's charts are public. I think it's kind of a superstition to be that concerned about it, right?
Right. And I very much live in the world of you create your own hell and you create your own world of paranoia. So, and obviously that's not always the case with mental health and all that. But it's like if you're going to focus so much on what's out to get you, and not want to share in the name of creativity, that's cool. That's your own choice. But I'm not gonna live like that. You convinced me.
All right, so let me turn the screen sharing back on. I've got Winnie's chart. Hi, Winnie. Here is your chart. So this is at Wayward Winifred. And she was actually in a quiz. Wait, is your Wait, is this the wrong date of this? She's born the next day, isn't she? This is still the wrong. She's an Aquarius moon.
Oh yeah, and I also have my friend Lori's chart that she's offering too. She has a really, really, really cool 4,000
Well,
Empress studio.
anyway, no, this I think
Is this it?
this must be because I know I changed it in my database. I must have updated it since I had the wrong information. But still, um, she she's very popular with this culminating sun.
Yes.
She's worked in political campaigns and stuff. I think she's been on the ground there at Columbia with the protests.
Wow.
So yeah, it's she really gets into it with this Mercury sun and Mercury here. So this is something else I was talking about where I think, this attitude of combustion, especially when it comes to Mercury, I don't think Mercury is harmed as much by the sun as a lot of people think, right? And especially once you start to get to 7 to 8 degrees, it really starts to lessen. And when you're in from that range of like 7 to 10 degrees, Mercury's like going to be making his emergence from under the sunbeams, like, within a week or so, right? And so I feel like this is you know, a strong Mercury here, or at least stronger than it would be if it was only, 2, 3, 4 degrees away from the sun. So, I like this Mercury. It's like, prominent messages, right? I really like it for someone that's doing PR or any kind of thing that involves pumping messages out to the public. This is because it's ruled by Venus, which is over here in Aries, so it's going to be feisty, right? And it's conjunct her lot of fortune, so she's gonna have it's like saying the right thing at the right time, right? And getting noticed, right? That's and just running with it, right? Because it's Venus and Aries.
I love that. Yeah, and her Mercury is at a really beautiful degree of Taurus. It's 26 degrees, is represented by a Spaniard serenading his senorita. So I don't know if Winnie has a beautiful voice or is talented in that way, or fell in love with Barcelona. You never know. There's definitely some sort of levels there to the singing, and even if it's just random singing to themselves or singing it with family with that 10th house. And then I like that 19 degrees Taurus as well. It's a new continent is rising out of the ocean.
That's cool.
And
I like that.
Capricorn moon, the Capricorn moon's definitely a tough one. And having, I feel like with your vertex right there, other Capricorns can be really helpful understanding your emotions.
Yeah. The Capricorn moon can be a tough placement, but I mean, I like Capricorn. That's the sign where it's like sunlight is at its dimmest, right? And so Capricorn knows that like brighter days are ahead, and so Capricorn kind of forges ahead, not with this like you know unjustified optimism, right? But a kind of optimism that only comes from like having seen the worst of things, right? And pushing through. And so there's this kind of initiatory thing to a Capricorn moon, and it's like mistake their some people think they're colder emotionally or harder to understand, but it's really just the fact that the Capricorn moon has come face to face with how bad things can be and is still deciding to go forward anyway, and so that changes their outlook. you know um I like Capricorn moon. I
Yeah,
think
my
it's
partner is a Capricorn moon in that 26 degrees. So it was it was rough with Pluto and Capricorn there for so long, and then going to be feeling that again when Pluto retrogrades or stations retrograde, excuse me. I also love in the 11th house being ruled by Gemini and having that power degree Saturn at 2 degrees Cancer. Yes, the 11th house is felt with the mind, and when he's able to write, create, and empathize with that and mentally connect with people. But having that 2 degree, which is known as the power degree in degree theory, it's very much like still a public rock, somebody that is able to be steady and cool, even though it is ruled by the moon. And, having that Saturn ruled by the moon, but the moon is in Capricorn, that's very poetic to me.
Yeah, I also like this, Jupiter Mars trine, right? And Jupiter here is in the 8th, trining Mars in the 11th, um, or in the 12th by whole sign. And I feel like this could be like, especially if we go by whole sign for this and make Mars in the 12th house, then this is like, kind of fighting for the unseen, right? Like champion of bringing things to light, right? Like, they're going into dark places and seeking out the truth. And it's also, it also makes some, I mean, we also have Venus squaring, Venus is casting array over here too in the 9th, right? I know she's on the cusp. A lot of times with these cusps, I just flip them over into
Yeah, because like
twine.
the way that I work with degrees is you have to look at 3 degrees anyway. So honestly, 6, 7, and 8 are the degrees I would look at to kind of understand that Venus placement, anyways. So I kind of like that little cadence there. It's cute. I'm just like, all right, 6, 7, 8 are all going to be very important, and they are.
Yeah, what else can we say? I mean, well, there's going to be, there's going to be a Mars retrograde in Cancer. Right? It's going to station direct. Actually, it's going to station direct a few degrees away from her natal Mars. So may not be, but it's going to, and it's going to station retrograde here in the 12th or the 1st around 9 or 10 degrees. So, or no, it's 6 degrees, and then it goes back to 15 or 16. So not, maybe she will have some shakeups with some 12th house, 12th, 11th house topics with this Mars retrograde. She will be, what year will she be in? So, 50, so. Libra year. I mean,
Yeah, Lori
Venus,
said she'll have a few Mars return charts.
yeah, because Venus is ruled by Mars, and she's going to be in a Venus year this year. Oh, well, no, it's going to be a Mars year coming up, right? Uh, no, it'll be Libra because she's turning 50. So, yeah, still should be some shakeups with the Mars topics. So, because Venus and Mars are connected in her chart. Mars rules Venus.
Having that moon
I
square
can't.
Venus
The
too
thing is,
is
I
really
can't
good.
see the chat when I've got these charts up. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can pull
you
up.
gotta tell me.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a couple people submit, but if you want to check your DMs, I guess
Yeah.
on Twitter, I'm pretty sure there should be quite a few people because there have been people letting you know that you can use their chart.
Okay.
And a couple people are thinking about submitting. And if you're on the fence about it, we submitted ours earlier. And if you missed that part, the Astro quiz that we posted earlier that is on Alex's account is actually our charts. And that is what we're talking about. Yay.
Okay. Yeah. So I have one. Someone from the screen. I'm gonna punch your information into Solar Fire, and then we'll pull your chart up. One moment.
Perfect.
Is there any
Oh,
other?
wow. That's great. Stardust Astrology with Ingrid. Yeah, Stardust Astrology with Ingrid has been chiming in, and I just catching up here. It's been hard. It's hard to be able to nail understand the Leo and Cancer retrograde because they have no placements to speak to the retrograde energy. Okay, I think that was earlier. I'll scroll up here. Sir, when cooperates. Yeah, there should be a couple that came your way.
Yes, I've got one. I've got it pulled up now. All right, I'll go back to sharing the screen. Okay, this is the chart that was just submitted by the viewer. Hello, Astro Himbo. How are you doing tonight? Hope you're doing great.
I love this.
Thank you so much for being brave enough to submit your chart. This is great. I'm
Yes.
so excited. So, I mean, the first thing that I am drawn to is, you've got this setting sun here, conjunct Neptune. You got your sun in between, sandwich in between Neptune and Uranus. I mean, wow. So, here's something that is a little bit of an unusual delineation, but it's something I've been trying to work out is that we're getting a lot of charts of people that are like, intuitive or feel like they have some sort of psychic ability, right? And I've found that when the sun, moon, or in particular Mercury is making very, very close within like 1 to 2 degrees, mainly 1 degree aspect of Uranus or Neptune, that, they tend to have, very strong natural intuitive kind of psychic sense. And here the sun is sandwiched in between both of them on the descendant. So I wouldn't be surprised if this person is very perceptive and able to, I mean, also with this 12th house moon, right? That's, it's opposing by whole sign. I feel like they're probably going to be pretty good at reading people or be like they. But the other thing that you can run into as a problem with this increased sensitivity that these kind of placements can bring is you can run into the problem of letting other people's perceptions and other people's subjective thoughts, because you're so sensitive to picking that stuff up, you can let that affect you, and they can actually like turn you around because you're so sensitive to it, right? So I don't know if any of that is resonating at all. It's also making, I mean, well, all right, I'll stop talking for a moment and let Gracey take a shot.
Let me just unmute myself first. But I said you don't have to stop talking. I'll never tell a Gemini to stop talking. That's like curse of death. The first thing I'm noticing here, being moon ruled with a moon in the 12th house. What's up? How exciting is life? I feel like we are the embodiment of the Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette with a Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. The energy of being moon ruled with the moon in the 12th house is something that I am very familiar with, as my Gemini moon is in the 12th house and I am ruled by the moon. And it's not an easy life. You don't get enough credit for not murdering people, especially with a 22-degree rising. That is known as the kill or be killed degree in any sign. So having placements at 22 degrees is very much like only the strong survive. And even though your moon might be in the 12th house and very watery in the murky depths, you are psychic AF, and people don't really know how to handle that as much. There's a lot of people that take Cancer risings for weak, and mistaking Cancer energy in general is not a good idea. We kind of like look like the Kirby meme with a knife in their hands, standing outside a window ready to fight. But while Cancer suns, Cancer moons really do understand being ruled by the moon, Cancer risings are the only group of risings that have their chart ruler change every 2.5 days, and we are very moody people. A lot of people don't really work a traditional job with Cancer risings, usually, especially with the Pisces MC. You have an Aries MC. I feel more of like traveling energy. I don't know if you work in any sort of position where you jump around or travel, or you're just like nomadic at sorts. So funny. One of your family members nicknamed you Kirby. That's perfect. That's perfect. But being ruled by the moon, you're going to constantly change. You're going to be a chameleon of the zodiac too. So like you're going to really embody all these different houses at different times, especially with perfection years. Really pay attention to those because I've been finding that they really embody a lot for moon rule people, and it gives us a little bit more. Instead of just looking at the moon every single day, we can kind of understand where our focus is supposed to be. And also, summertime is not always this like there's that hot girl, hot boy summer happening, or a hot person summer that everybody likes to have, but like summertime for you is like very much friends, moodiness, intensity, brooding. And then by the time the sun finally gets out of your 12th house, you're just like, oh my God, I've been through a lot. So hopefully, the more that you work with moon cycles and the more that you really honor the flow of the moon, really give yourself time off on Mondays if you can. I refuse to do anything on Mondays unless I truly love that person. So if I've ever hung out with you on a Monday, know that you're close to my heart, because I don't fuck with people on Mondays as much as I can. So yeah, that's my first impression.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. I've been looking over here at this like Venus Jupiter conjunction.
Yeah, that's
Sagittarius.
powerful. Let me look up the degree symbols.
Yeah, that looks like a lot of fun, but it's also the party is kind of being pooped on a little bit here by Saturn, right? They're applying to
Yeah,
square
it's
Saturn.
something about
Mars is over here casting an orb, but it's 6 degrees. I mean, it's wide. I guess that's close enough. I mean, so I would say that yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's like
to
this.
me that's like very much like moon in the 12th house gives off a lot of like mother energy. So either they're very close, their mother might be foreign, or there could be some sort of like both parents are very creative or have come up with something like a family business almost. This degree in the Sabian symbols is represented by Cupid knocking at the door of a human heart. And it's very much about like how you drop your guard and fall in love with people even for their imperfections. And then the solution degree, which is 2 down, it goes Sagittarius is 8 degrees. That's the truth degree. That's deep within the depths of the earth. New elements are being formed. So there's very much like crystal magic capabilities here. And then 9 degrees Sagittarius, which is the solution degree of that conjunction, is a mother leads her small child step by step up the stairs.
So that's very interesting, especially the Cupid symbol, because I was going to say that this seems like, perhaps having, like a lot of fun, like romantic adventures or a wide network of friends, but like you are kind of blocked from getting what you really want, or perhaps like more serious things are, it can put a damper on all this fire. This Saturn up here might be putting a damper on some of the party energy going on down here. Um, Another thing, so I wanted to ask this person, Astro Himbo. So, um, you've got Vesta over here, um, in Gemini. We recently went through and it's retrograde, right? And we recently went through a Vesta retrograde in Gemini. It was in January, I believe. It stationed at 21 degrees Gemini, thereabouts around January 10th, January 11th, somewhere in there. Um, I don't have the ephemeris up, but going by my recollection, I believe it was around then. So I was wondering if you had anything going on with your house or anything like that with your living situation that had been disrupted but was resolved, around January, or would have been around the time of your last birthday.
Oh wow.
Um,
We do
I,
have a
I,
couple of
I,
updates on
yes.
Astro Himbo says, yes, Mondays were my day off for a few years. So that definitely hit there, and then a lot of long distance relationships. But they did just finish a relationship coach training. That's very cool. I feel like the joy and the bountifulness in love with that Cupid and the human heart, it's really connecting with people through that, fifth house traditionally ruled by Leo in the heart. I love that. So yeah, what's going on with the house though? I gotta know that. It's gotta be something. And
Well, anyway, while
yeah,
we're
I guess we have
waiting,
another comment with Lori said, "Am I the only one that doesn't think Saturn is so bad, or maybe it's just because mine is exalted?" Yes, it's because yours is exalted. Day chart privilege.
well, so yes, Saturn is worse when it's close to an angle. It's worse when it's stationing direct, right? So, uh, to me, that's the biggest problem with Saturn is when it's stationing direct. It can be bad.
Right.
So, you know, here Saturn is like, so it's waning in its solar phase, right? So the sun is going to conjunct Saturn soon, right? They're even past the waning sextile aspect. So Saturn is basically, as this person gets older, the blocks that Saturn is going to present are going to get less and less, right, as the sun approaches Saturn in their progressions. Um, so I don't know. They might have some issues with Saturn right now, with these thwarted long distance relationships. But I would say that, when they get older, that will pass and Saturn won't be as much of a problem. I mean, Saturn doesn't really have much strength here. I mean, he's falling from the angle. And I mean, I guess he's in his own decan of Pisces, but I don't know how much weight to give decans really. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
they can really save the game on this.
Looks
I mean,
like he was trying to move to a partner in Hawaii from Texas, but they ended up breaking up in March.
mm, okay.
Do you think that is some Pluto action in that seventh house?
I mean, it could be. It could also. How old are they?
Saturn and Pisces generation. Oh,
29,
Saturn
right?
return.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
in their Saturn return. I mean, yeah, it could also.
And they broke up March 12th, if that
March
helps.
12th. I mean, we can throw the transits on. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, wait. I need to do dual charts. Hold on.
No worries. This is awesome to be able to do live time, just like chart readings for people.
Okay. So we want. And then we want the outer wheel to be transits.
Yeah, March
And
12th.
yeah, then we want to change this chart to. He's in Texas. What was the city? It doesn't.
Not sure. I just assume
It
everyone lives
doesn't
in
matter. It doesn't matter because
the
yeah, it should be
Yeah,
fine.
we're not doing the actual.
All right. So
Oh, and it's Austin, just in case.
here we go. Now we got it. All right, so we want to ignore the ascendant descendant on the transit outer wheel
Right.
transit chart because that's not going to be accurate, but everything else will be. Um, I mean, this was a Saturn. Saturn's almost exactly conjunct Saturn. Um, yeah, Jupiter. What was Jupiter doing? Because what? How old? He would have been 29. So Saturn year.
Right in that ninth house of
Probably,
travel. I feel like that just kind
Saturn.
of like.
Yeah, Saturn's squaring this stuff down here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so because Saturn, when we went back for the retrograde, Saturn stationed retrograde at 7 degrees and change before he perfected this aspect, this square aspect to this Jupiter Venus conjunction. Then Saturn went retrograde, went back to 0 degrees Pisces, and then back again. And then here it's overcome the square. Saturn's past this square. And so, the impact to the Venus, Jupiter fifth house, and then, Saturn is ruler of the seventh natally. So, that would be that. I mean, that's pretty. I think that for a breakup, you know, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. If
Yeah,
there's
I definitely
any,
see that. Also, Jupiter on the south node, it's also freeing ties and loosening up things so you can expand
yes,
and find better. So it's not always going to be negative when you have transits to your south node. Another person that just had transits to their or to placements with the Libra south node was Travis Kelsey. His Libra Mars and Libra Sun conjunction just got a major contract, and that's always like, it's interesting to see people look at the south node as like this scary place, but transits to your south node can be quite rewarding at times. Oh, and they're still friends after the breakup. That's awesome.
well, that's good, right? So it wasn't maybe it was a more mature, kind of Saturnine separation than really like some, kind of, it's better that Saturn. It's less dramatic when Saturn breaks you apart than when Mars does, right? When Saturn
Right.
separates you, it's kind of a slow, cold separation versus Mars is this cutting, breaking
Yeah.
apart thing.
Slice
So,
you open.
yeah, it makes sense that a breakup triggered by Saturn would, allow there still to be some kind of connection left. That, although sometimes Saturn can embitter, right? And if it's gone on too long, right, a breakup driven by Saturn can just make people they just hate each other. Right?
Absolutely.
So, it can work both. It just depends on, I think, the length of the relationship and
Yeah.
how it's being broken up and how it's doing it, right? Because you see that a lot with relationship with the Saturn squares, right? I've been talking about like relationship charts and the inception charts for relationships, right? Um, and on mine, I don't have the information ready to pull up, but when Saturn was square, the Saturn placement for the inception chart in my marriage, that was when our divorce was finalized.
Mm.
So, um, there's Saturn brings tests, and sometimes things that aren't up to the test, you know, it's not always bad when Saturn removes things, right? It can be for the best, right? It can be something that you weren't really ready for, or that if you had it, you wouldn't really like it, right? It wouldn't have been what you thought it was, right? A lot of times when Saturn removes things, it's like that, especially if Saturn is not overly malefic, right? And this person is a day chart, right? So Saturn's going to be more on their side than not. Saturn is not super strong because he's waning in his phase and he's not on an angle. So I would say that, I wouldn't fear too much about Saturn transits for this person. I mean, they're still going to suck. It's still Saturn, right? But it's not going to be like, fucking terrible, like catastrophic, right? Uh,
Yeah, Pisces Saturn has been really just such a hot top. I've been getting so many Saturn return readings, and I feel like Pisces Saturn generation is really a lot more able to go with the flow. Maybe it's just because they've been rocked with world event after world event after world event since birth, but it just kind of seems like some of their lessons is learning how to flow and learning how to be open to that change. But I really enjoy how their mindset can be, hey, I've been just writing out this shitstorm with some memes, and now I'm going to get rewarded with some direction in my life. Or you get rewarded with somebody able to break away from your life, which sparks a whole nother path at times. So I really love seeing breakups be a positive thing for both people. It's okay to be adults about it. You don't have to do everything for like TikTok views and record your breakups and do all that dramatics in theater. But hey, it's also been
Oh,
entertaining watching what's that?
oh, I was just gonna say. He said, "Thanks for validating my psychic abilities too."
Oh
Lol.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Cool. I'm glad
Cancer
that
moon in
was
the 12th
on the
house.
nose.
Yeah,
Let
and
me go
it's
check my
entertaining to see.
DM, see if there's anyone else. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay.
Go
I feel like we're just internet connection time. It's like those Zoom calls where you're like, I should start talking. Did you too? Okay, stop. Sorry, my bad. That's like the worst part of the COVID era was everybody getting on Zoom.
Okay, yeah, I got another chart we'll pull up here. Um, it's at Jupiter's Bunny, Stars Advocate.
Ah,
Let's pull her up. I will plug the information in.
yes, Gemini's, and happy birth month, May 29th. I love that birthday.
Yeah, she's May 30th. That's cool. One day apart.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kept waiting for April 31st. I never pay attention to the calendar.
All right.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. Here's Jupiter's Bunny's chart. All right, I started the last one. You want to start this one off, Gracie?
Absolutely. I love Sagittarius risings. And I think this is the same degree as the Sibley chart. I can't remember. Um,
No, I don't think so.
is that
I
one
think that
like
one was
20,
14. This one's 20.
14? Okay, I couldn't remember.
The
20
Chiron is
degrees.
on the same degree as the U.S. Sibley chart ascendant, though. So
Okay.
maybe she is going to cause some chironic wound for the United States, right? Maybe she's gonna be the reckoning for the
Can you
United
please
States
steal the
because her
Declaration
Chiron
of
is on their
Independence?
ascendant.
Go rob the White House and just see what you can get. I'm sure at this point it'll just be a free for all. But that 20 degrees Sagittarius rising is represented by in winter, people are cutting ice from a frozen pond for summer use. So it's very much, even though it's chaotic and it's chaos energy, it's absolutely the most like prepared, plan ahead, which is it's kind of odd, being a Scorpio degree of Sagittarius, but um, please look at my Saturn Jupiter in the eye and don't play with me about that. I am chaos for the countries withholding truth. Oh, that's great. That's really great. Yeah, that Saturn Jupiter conjunction in the fifth house. Whew, that's a fun one. What are your initial reactions?
Yeah, this is. Yeah, she's born right on this Earth conjunction. I think this was the last Earth conjunction right? Of Saturn and Jupiter, because there was the one before in 1980 was in Libra, and that's when it was switching over between Earth and air conjunction. So she's in the last Earth sign conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. That's kind of interesting. Kind of last of an era, right? For these kind of conjunctions. I think this. I mean, it's ruled by Venus, which she's got in her seventh house by whole sign. It's sixth. It's declining from the angle though. I think this could be like having fun, like wanting to have fun when trying to make everything you do into a little bit of fun, right? I don't know. It's like if you don't have a routine or a set of habits that make you feel good, it's like everything is off because you've got these two big anchor planets and the moon is here co-present, right? And the moon, I mean, this is 18-degree orb, a 17-degree orb, somewhere in there. I say 15 for conjunctions with the moon, but the moon's still co-present here with these planets. So I think a big part of their life is like, just trying to have fun. And like, if it's not fun, it's not really worth doing. Right. I like that. And the sun is also in the sixth and it rules the ninth. And so I imagine that they want to travel a lot. Right. Maybe traveling for work would be an ideal kind of situation for them. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, they got to work with their hands with that Gemini ruled sixth house. And then that degree of Taurus, 23 degrees, is represented by a jewelry shop filled with magnificent jewels. So almost like making jewelry would be really therapeutic, or like knitting or something with the hands. That could help a lot with like daily tension or stress. Just something with the hands, definitely. Lisa Frank energy. Yeah, absolutely. And then that Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Taurus is being activated now, especially with the Uranus Jupiter conjunction. That Jupiter return is strong. Absolutely. Um, Nacho Libra asked if we've done quiz of the week yet, if you wanted to inform everyone that's joining.
Oh, yes. For the people that have just joined, we did reveal the answers to the quiz. And the answer is that chart B was the lawyer and chart A was the stay-at-home mom. And they were actually the charts of me and Gracey, right? So I'm chart B and she's chart A. And when we started the show, we did a little bit of reading of each other's charts just to, break the ice. But there we go. Both our charts are out there now. So I know everyone wanting to, everyone that thinks that knowing someone's chart gives them some kind of advantage over them. Ooh, they're rubbing their hands.
Yeah, I have a seventh house Capricorn Mars, so good luck with that one, I guess. And you have a Pisces Mars in the fifth house of that friendship, so yeah, good luck with that, I guess. I feel like when you do things to others, you're opening yourself up for that exact same thing to bounce back to you. So tread lightly.
So, the other thing pointing out is that I mean, she has this Gemini Mars here, so I love Gemini Mars. I think Mars
Yes.
and Gemini is great.
My favorite placement for UFC fighters, outside of Capricorn Mars, of course.
Yeah, and I don't know, Mars here, especially being so close to the descendant, right? The descendant's about dealing with other people, and so I don't know. This is like I I mean, she is really funny, right? And
Mhm.
Mars Gemini is a jokester, right? Especially because we've got Mercury here on the other side of the angle, right? Her angle uh,
Yes.
is, being hugged by Mercury and Mars. So this is like jokester, prankster energy, right? Don't know quite what she's thinking, like, quick with her words and will, diss you without you even realizing it, right? Especially because like the sun is obscuring Mars somewhat here. So I imagine that she's the kind of person that can make fun of somebody and that person doesn't realize they're being made fun of, but other people do, right? I bet you she can do that very well.
Stardust Astrology with Ingrid mentioned uh, that she hates a bully to the point where you're probably going to take action against it. Embrace that in your grown-up life. Refine the message, or refined and message. You can raise money and call attention. And she responded that she absolutely despises haters and bullies. Um, and then Tara asked if we are Alex, are you smoking? And
Yes,
smoking, and then
I am
commenting on the
smoking.
yeah, I'm smoking too. I'm smoking marijuana because I'm a
I
Pisces Mercury.
I am not smoking marijuana.
Right.
I'm smoking harmless tobacco, right? Say no to
I was
drugs.
a
That's my
I,
motto, right?
I was a tobacco lobbyist for a hot minute. My dad has a family business that helps convenience stores, and we work a lot with convenience store owners. And they were trying to shut down flavored tobacco sales. And I'm like, we have the God given right in this country to poison ourselves with whatever method we choose. This is just ridiculous. Um, I also like had that strong argumentative spirit growing up. So I love the Gemini Mars because I also feel like she would be great in debate situations. It'd be funny, but it could definitely slice. It could definitely slice some people. You get to choose your own adventure.
Yeah. So, there's going to be, a very cool activation for her coming up, right? So she has her sun at 9 degrees of Gemini, right? 9 degrees, 53 minutes. And Jupiter is going to station direct in later this year. I don't have the ephemeris. I should have it next to me. But
Oh
whenever
my god,
Jupiter
this is
does its direct station in Gemini, which I believe it will be in, well, the sun will be by that time.
sorry, I showed the
The
wrong comment.
sun
But
will be in Aquarius, so January, right? Because when the sun gets to Aquarius and trines Jupiter, it'll station direct. So it'll be in Aquarius season that Jupiter will station direct on her sun next year, and she's gonna be in a let's see, how old will she be? 24. First house perfection year.
yes.
Jupiter's ruler of her first house. So I'm gonna expect major kind of upgrade for the sun here with Jupiter stationing direct on it. So, the sun is her ninth house by whole sign, eighth by Placidus. The sun is in her sixth house. I could see, maybe a change up in like work, right? Because it's also close to Venus here. Venus is the ruler of her midheaven, also sixth house placement. I don't know. I don't want to make a full prediction just off the cuff here, but I think I would be very much looking forward to the Jupiter direct station if I was her. I mean, I'm looking forward to it because my sun is at 8 degrees Gemini. So, but
Yes.
she's gonna get a more direct hit of it than me. So that'll be cool.
Here we have a comment from Tara talking about the yod from Jupiter, Saturn conjunction in Taurus in the sixth house to the North Node at 25 degrees Cancer in the seventh, and that's to the Sagittarius rising. Um,
Mm.
and I really love that Aries degree of the Cancer North Node. That's very much standing up for others and being that little like protector of sorts and that emotional shield for people. Just make sure that you take care of yourself before assisting others. It's like that plain thing that they tell you. And then let's see here. Dark sense of humor with that Chiron and Pluto in the 12th house. Yes, the dark sense of humor for sure. And it's just, I think like earlier today we are talking about your chicken and running outside incident, and we are talking about how, I don't know, like possums are the seals of land, or I can't remember what it was, but that was first thing this morning. So I absolutely know a good joke or two is available in that brain.
So, we actually could have someone join the chat if they have the ability.
Yeah, if anybody wants to join.
Yeah, I've been forgetting to do that. Let me check and see if there's anyone else that's wants to.
Thank you guys. They said
Wait, has someone joined? Wait. Oh, you took yourself off.
was that me or
I don't know what happened there. I don't know where you went.
yeah, it said lost connection.
That was strange. Does anyone else want their
Yeah, that's
chart
okay though.
read? Anybody?
Yeah, if you guys want to, there are links in the description. You should be able to see, at least on YouTube, the description where to send your information, and that's to Alex at balefulrays.
Yeah, or you can just post like your email in the chat or anything like that.
Yeah, or if you just want to shout out your birth information. We've shared our charts. That was the Astro quiz results from Alex's poll. That was pretty fun to see all the explanations. Did you have any favorites?
Oh, yeah, I actually haven't been keeping up with the explanations. I guess we can go and look. You can do that.
Yeah, we should go through them. That'd be fun. Yeah, they're talking about your Astro quizzes, and Stardust Astrology says I loved the meth head versus heart attack.
All right, so let's. Sorry. Trying to find it.
You're
All right,
fine.
yeah, let's look at the. Okay. All right, so yeah, you guys all thought that I was the stay-at-home mom, which was deeply amusing to me. Um, uh, yeah, I gotta say, I loved that. I loved that you guys thought I was the stay-at-home mom. So yeah, the final votes was 306, and let's see. Someone says, I got this wrong, but it makes more sense the other way around. Had a feeling this was your chart. I checked Pluto and Saturn and compared it to mine, but I didn't know your age. And a lot of these are, so Onyx says, Cancer rising, immediately says stay-at-home mom. Which Scorpio rising with Leo 10th house, Sun in 8th, bankruptcy lawyer. So, you know, I mean, I guess it's hard to make a judgment just on rising signs, but in this case, it is, you know, the more obvious thing like that.
Yeah, I really liked a couple of them that were aware of, yes, I might be moon ruled, but my moon is in the 12th house, indicating isolation. And I love a good isolation. So that is absolutely correct. And that is hard to coincide with being a parent. You don't really get a lot of alone time.
Someone says, I was expecting Alex to post her chart and be like, has this native ever been in meth psychosis? And
Yes,
you know,
Leo, that would have been hilarious.
That, you know, like when I shared Nancy Reagan's chart the other day on the astrology death match, you know, the motto
Yes.
is just say no, guys, right? Just say no. You know, stick with good old fashioned American cigarettes and alcohol, right?
just like the good old boys do.
So,
I love it.
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually thought that I was gonna have to do this live stream from the courthouse today because I had my laptop and everything
Yes.
ready because I wasn't sure if there's going to be a trial or not, and you know I'm always a gambler and double booking myself. So, but everything worked out. You know, a little bit of magic goes a long way. Um,
Yes.
So, yeah, we are just, for everyone just joining, we are just going over the poll from this week, and we revealed that chart A is Gracie, and chart B is me, Alex. So, um, I don't know. I thought it'd be fun to post our charts, and you know, we did a little bit of reading of each other's charts earlier. Um, if anyone had any questions, anything to say about that, I'm curious about the chat. Or does anyone want to call in? Right? Does anyone want to be a guest on like the audio or video? Right? And we will read your chart, and then we can talk back and forth with you. Right? So. Um, Anyone that would like to do that, just drop your at in the chat or message me on Twitter or post your email, anything like that. Sorry, I'm looking at some messages.
Yes.
My bad.
You guys, something to think about. There's beef with Kendrick and Drake that's going big. Yeah, I remember in March of 2023, I said that with Pluto shifting into his sixth house of physical health and just daily routine and overall his mental health, that he should just, chill a little bit. And then he announced in October that he was going to take a break and it was for his physical health. And so I was like, all right. So he listened to me somehow. That's nice. And then all this stuff with leading up with Kendrick and Drake has just been wild. My other half went live last night on Kick and breakdown of the Kendricks, and I listened along with it. And boy, that was wild. And I'm like, this times out perfectly with the Mars ingress with Aries. So the total transformation of rebirth rap beef, which is a little bit lighter somehow than talking about what's going on in Colombia and really around the country. And it's not going to be lost on us how Mars played a huge role in yesterday in general.
Sorry about that. I'm just responding to some messages. Oh wait, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not on the
That way we
screen.
can have some
Alright.
guests. So if you guys want to DM Alex and you can join live, you don't have to put on video. I'm not sure if Restream has a mobile app to join live or if you have to be on a computer or how that works. But
I think you can join from a browser on your phone.
cool.
If you just have a phone. So I think someone said at Stardust would. I'd message them on Twitter.
And then Tara mentioned, just going back to my chart, about all Pisces placements and Cancer moms as well. It's the put on your oxygen mask first. That's what she recommends to everybody. So yeah, I'm glad other people tell Pisces and Cancer placements to take care of themselves because good Lord, do they need it. I am definitely guilty. I give people like 3 days of nurturing and then they have to get over it because I'm like, if Jesus only needed 3 days, you'll be fine. Let's get you 3 days, or you need to go to the hospital. Like, you got two options here. So when people look at my chart, it can definitely be deceiving because it's like, yeah, I'm Cancer rising, but it's that slicey dicey version of Cancer.
Yeah. I mean, Cancer can be tricky, right? You know, there's two sides to Cancer, right? You know, it's
That dark
have
side of
quite
the
a hard
moon
edge to
energy.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might be joining.
Yeah, looking at the Drake charts and all that. I don't think I have hit up. Plus, I didn't know how much you were up on the rap beef. I
There's a
think you've
glitch
been
there.
pretty busy.
Yeah, I normally love tabloid stuff, but I just don't have the time to keep up with all of the drama recently. Also, like everything's been insanely busy recently. I've been like, I've yeah, work's just been nuts. And I've been doing all of this, so and astrology readings. So I am really like barely have any time. Like I work 6 days a week, and then on Sunday I work in the garden, or if there's nothing to do in the garden, I just like don't do anything. So, um, yeah, I've just that's been my life for the last several months.
I love that though. And being Mars ruled, you really have to follow your instincts. You really just have to go with what feels good to you and just go with that flow. All right. Are people responding to your
Yes, I
invite
think
to
I
join
have.
live? Do we have any takers? I'm so excited.
Uh, yeah, I think we do. Hold on.
And if anybody just wants to shout out like a degree or something that is in their own chart, in the meantime, you don't want to share your whole chart, you have a question about a placement. Also on YouTube, if you are watching from YouTube or if you're on Twitter, you can jump over to YouTube and there's donations buttons in there that we are taking donations for readings. If you feel up to it, goes to astrologers, goes to people that love astrology and want it to be a better place and more community based. I really feel like this show is something that we can build a lot off of and really get a lot of walks of life and people that just have so much knowledge in their brains and don't have the right outlets to share it yet. Like, I don't know how many people in real life for you, I feel like you give in-person readings all the time, but how many people really have that community and outlet to share? It seems like sometimes when you get into astrology, there's just so much overwhelming synchronicities, and some people just don't have that outlet quite handled. And talking into Twitter is like talking into a abyss. It's like, I hope this thing is on. I hope this reaches human contact and not just, Elon Musk's bot service.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I do a lot of I do a lot of readings in person, right? And like you said, and a lot of my business is actually from word of mouth and in-person clients. And I was actually a couple months ago, I did a thing where I did free readings for the public, and I announced that on Twitter, and someone from Twitter actually showed up. So shout out Marie if you're watching. Thanks for it was really fun reading your chart and meeting someone from Twitter that was also in Indianapolis. That was really cool. Um, so yeah, we do have a guest that has just joined. Are you?
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, I'm not there yet, quite yet, but it's coming on.
Have you do you not have your camera?
Yay.
Oh, wait. Here. Maybe she's changing
I think it's
something.
pulling up.
I'm
Yeah, Restream kind of gets on a little bit of a delay, I've noticed.
Also, I believe there's now an echo now that she's joining. Is there an echo, chat? Can you guys confirm?
I can hear one.
Yeah, I hear an echo, but I don't know if it's going out over to the chat. Hi, Jessica. Oh, they just left. I guess she's
Yeah,
not
it
able
might
to
have been like
join.
connection thing. And then Leo asked, would you use the nodes for Sabian symbols or only planets, comets? I use the nodes for everything. All right, Ingrid's back.
Hello. Hey, you guys, technology.
Oh, that good. And I think the echo's gone.
Oh, good. Okay,
Great.
you guys, this
And there
so
was no,
far has been really amazing. You guys are both so knowledgeable and in stuff that I don't really know about. So I've loved Alex's balefulrays quizzes. I always get them wrong for real. This one is the only one I've ever gotten right. But yeah, it's really
yes.
fun, and I love seeing young people here, and I love how this moment in time, people are really exploring the archetypes and our history through astrology. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Um, are you willing to show your chart? We've been showing
Sure.
ours. All
Yes.
right. You guys chat for a minute. I'm gonna plug your stuff into Solar Fire, and then we will go. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I've met
So,
Alex a
so what
while
is?
ago, and go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna ask how you were all connected and how everything. So you just went on right ahead. It's perfect.
Oh, I just made myself really annoying to Alex on Twitter. I was like, "Hi, you're really good at astrology. I want to be your friend." Until she answered me. So, I've been engaging in the charts, and this is for all of you guys watching. If you don't understand how to read a birth chart, please don't beat yourself up. This stuff is so hard. It is so hard to the point where lifelong astrologers can't do it, right? So I just want to know, like, all the people who are learning here, if you're here, if this is the first live you've been on and you learn a couple things, you're killing it. You're killing it. Because I've been studying astrology for 20 years, and this is, I mean, Gracie, this is hard. Like, if you had
Yes,
your kid,
it
because
is.
I have kids too. If someone had my kid, they were like, "Is this person a meth dealer or a heart attack?" We're gonna kill your kid. I would be like,
Maybe both.
I can't do it.
I feel
But
you,
it's
and
something, yeah.
it's something that you have to kind of overcome because I have a very strong-willed daughter with a 8-planet 8th house Taurus stellium.
Holy
And
shit!
good lord. Yeah, so I'm like, all right. So I basically just made
What's your
myself
birth time
but
though? You
stronger.
didn't. Sorry to interrupt. What's your birth
No,
time?
go
You
for it.
didn't tell me that
Okay,
in the
so it's
message.
10:35 a.m.
Okay, great. All right, great. I'll pull you up. Sorry to
My
interrupt.
chart's hilarious,
Yay.
and the what happened to me is hilarious, but it's very literal. So I think that it's going to be helpful.
I'm excited. Everyone else is excited to see your chart because they love your energy. That's from Cosmic Shit Show.
Oh, I
Okay,
love
here we
Cosmic
go.
Shit Show. You guys, I don't make money from astrology. I want you to pay Alex. And I want you to pay Gracie. I just do it because I love it. So please, please book readings with these awesome people. Please.
It looks
And
like
this
you
is
could
my
make
chart.
a
You're
ton of
too
money with
kind. You're too
astrology.
kind.
Wow. Thank you so much.
I have a lot of I'm booked at the moment, but possibly in the future.
I understand.
Yeah.
So we got your chart up here. Can everyone see it? I think everyone can see
This
it.
is
I
called
hope.
bucket chart, except for the Virgo moon. And I just want to tell you, I was born 6 days late and I'm very resentful. I should have a Cancer moon, and this Virgo moon has been awful. But that's all I'm going to say. I want you guys to analyze it, and then I'm not going to say a thing.
So, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the Virgo moon. I mean, I feel like it would probably make you like it's like people are like you can break things down and categorize them, but you might not like it, right? It's like maybe a fixation. Maybe that's the wrong thing. But it does trine Venus here, right? So that's good. That's I mean, usually that gives good looks, and you do look very lovely. So you got that right. This nice trine here, and it's applying. It's close. I mean, that's something nice I can say about the Virgo moon. I mean,
And
what
if
else
you,
could I say? Oh,
well,
go
I think
ahead.
I want to talk about Virgo energy in general. So, if you guys don't know, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, but Virgo is an earth sign. So it's stuck. Wait, well, I want to talk about Virgo energy. Hold on, sorry, it's my
Oh,
computer.
there's where the echo's coming from.
Yeah, it's my computer. We gotta shut her. We gotta stop her. She hates everything. So Virgo is a earth sign ruled by Mercury, which is so difficult because Mercury runs around the solar system. Mercury is hurrying up. and Virgo is slowing down. She is represented by Persephone, who is going back to Hades as soon as Virgo is over. She's definitely going back to Hades, to hell, for the next 6 months. So we have Mercury ruling an earth sign that is organizing, picking crops, cleaning up, making sure we have enough food to survive the winter. And the sign and the ruler are very opposite of each other. So Virgo always has tensions, unless you have a Mercury in Virgo. There's a lot of tension in Virgo that I've found. Virgo moons especially have anxiety because we need to control things and we can't. So, because our archetype is making sure all the crops are picked, making sure
Right.
everyone's fed.
Well, yeah.
So Virgo moons are just super anxious, and that's
Well,
the problem with the Virgo moon.
Yeah, I can imagine you would have that anxiousness because, like you said, Mercury here, the ruler of the moon, can't see the
Nope.
moon, right?
Nope.
There's no witnessing, no aspect. And, Mercury's just changed signs into Aquarius, where it's ruled by Saturn, right? And you've got Saturn over here in a Mars ruled sign. So, and Saturn is squaring this Mercury, right? So this is like, you might have, serious words, right, or intense concerns, but you can't soothe this Virgo moon over here because
No.
the ruler of it is being squared by Saturn and, basically blocking any attempts that Mercury has. Like Saturn's going to block Mercury before he can help the moon out.
It almost reflects back on a Gemini because Geminis can split themselves into two. So this energy makes me split myself into two. One is the house, what I can control. Two is the things that I have to let go of. So I think reparations for Virgo placements are needed. You can or
Yeah,
not.
I got a Virgo IC in South Node and part of Fortune, and I'm like, why in the hell?
I
do
know
have
it's
this?
so awful, and I don't want to be like a hater towards a specific sign, but Virgo's tough. Virgo
It is, especially with that moon sign. You
yeah.
have not had a very easy narrative with yourself.
Nope.
And it's definitely going to be a lesson that you don't let others get in your ear about who you are and what you're capable of, because I see being Jupiter ruled and having a 1 degree Jupiter, that degree in the Sapien symbols is retired army veterans gather to reawaken old memories.
Or not. They just lay down and so
I love it.
I'll let Alex reread the rest of my chart because she knows what I do, and she is it's super super literal. So I'm not
That's
gonna say
amazing.
anything. I'm gonna mute myself.
No, you're fine. I love that. I love it when it clicks and it resonates. And, your ability to connect with people is nonstop. Like your standards of yourself and your community around you. Capricorn Venus, my best friend, Cosmic Shit Show, has the same Venus. And good Lord, if people breathe wrong while looking at her, it is like, did you need something? Did you want to fight? We've spent time together. We've lived together. We've had so much. She knows my kids. They are the most protective Venus placement of the young. They're old souls. They just know what they want out of life, and to have that trine your moon just makes you a little bit more demanding
Dangerous.
of others around you.
Yeah, I am.
It's
I'm not.
easy.
I'm the mom who's gonna say something if a kid hits another kid, and I'm not gonna wait till the other parent comes up. I'm gonna say something to the kid. So it's.
Well, so yeah. But, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
In your
please.
North Node,
I was going to point out this here. So, because we've been talking a lot about, we talked earlier with Gracey's chart. We talked about signatures for her being in sports broadcasting and stuff. And we've got here, I know that she has a lot of followers on TikTok. She's kind of a big deal over on that platform. And we've got here the moon squaring Neptune. And they're both on the angles, right? So this is
Neptune at the galactic center. You're out there with the aliens. How are
Dude,
they?
I don't know how to be a normal person.
Good.
I have to try to stop myself from saying things. But okay. So the funny story is about my chart is you see that Jupiter Mercury trine. It's perfected almost. And I had several things happen to me in my life. But if you look at my 11th house, that's stacked Capricorn 11th. Y'all, I'm a huge celebrity on LinkedIn. Like what?
Yes.
I have 58,000 followers on LinkedIn.
What?
I don't want them,
Right.
but it is
That's
just
such a
what
weird place.
it is. But if you look at my chart, it makes perfect sense because of
Yeah.
that stacked Cap 11th house. And then also I have the 2 placements in my 12th, which mean my Mercury and Mars. LinkedIn is a place where you can't be yourself. You cannot. You have to fake it, right? You're in HR. I'm in HR. I'm in HR. And I shouldn't be there, but it's a place where you have to have this like avatar of who you are versus who you are in the normal world. So I felt like it was just inevitable that happened. But not until I had been studying astrology for a long time. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, of course. It's a disaster. So yeah, it's very odd.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Don't ask for Capricorn in 11th house in direct conjunction with your Mercury because you'll be on LinkedIn.
And Pluto just must be amplifying all of that. Like they're finding you on every platform, I feel like.
Dude.
I will be back in just one moment.
Okay, so Pluto going through Capricorn it is so important for everybody, every astrologer to understand that Pluto through Capricorn was so hard. We all made it. We all made it.
We absolutely did. And it was not easy. It's still not over. You know, we still have that Pluto retrograde.
Oh
coming
no,
up.
we're gonna pop back in. It's moving through
It's gonna
another
be fun.
Saturn sign. Right.
And then just in time for a super casual event, the American presidential election, we have
Uranus and Gemini.
Pluto back. Yeah, we have Uranus and Gemini, and then we have Pluto back in Aquarius around, I
So
believe, like
if
end of November.
If you are a baby astrologer, if you look, okay, so there's a couple different kinds of astrology that we study. One is our birth charts, which for most astrologers is a little bit boring after a while. We look at our own birth charts and we kind of know the transits and we're like, wah, wah, you know. But then you start to look at the transits of the whole world and you notice that there's an 80-year cycle of Pluto circling the zodiac. And that the last one in the US was the Civil War. And the one before that was the Revolutionary War. And we have one coming up this year.
Wait a minute. I go away for 2 seconds and you're talking about the Civil War. What's going on?
Just for the record, I didn't start this.
It's the Uranus cycle. Yes. So
Right.
I'm just telling like people who are baby astrologers, like, yeah, hey, go look at your chart, look at your friend's chart. But if we get weird on Twitter, because the people who study astrology, like we get weird on Twitter. We say things that people have no idea what we're talking about.
I prefer it that way just because my Neptune is directly opposite my ascendant. Like I've always just kept this like
you don't have time to explain it.
Yeah. I mean, after going viral because of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I was just hanging out waiting on my Chipotle order one day. And next thing you know, my boyfriend goes off to Chipotle. My friend says, "You're on ESPN right now." And I'm like, "Excuse me, what?" And JJ Watt, somebody in my sports broadcasting career.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I probably do. It would just be my chart with September 27th, 2023. But it was a lot of 11th house action. So definitely you're in my 11th house was alive and well. But yeah, I survived a Saturn crossing my E That was one thing worried about, but I was waiting to see if that like viral
Did
thing
it?
happened again. But right now, I think the launch of this show is where I'm reaping a lot of rewards because this has been like the most fun I've had talking astrology in a minute.
It should be fun. This is fun, right? We all are here. We are born, we live, and then we die. Like, let's have fun with this. Like, let's kind of look at like who we are, what our motivations are, how we think, how we feel, what we want, and how to interact with other people in a way that's the ultimate of empathy and the ultimate of understanding. And that's why I love this community.
Let's not forget the most important thing, which is showing off and looking cool, which is what this show is about. So if
I
anyone wants their
know.
chart read off the cuff, and now is your chance. Let
Clearly.
me check the DMs and see. Because all this stuff about spiritual development, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but it doesn't mean shit if you don't look cool. Okay?
Correct. Let's look cool.
Right?
We need to get in there.
I am surprised how many people are shy. I have underestimated Twitter or overestimated them, I guess. Right? I thought that you guys would be all on this. Want to throw your charts up? I mean,
I think this is the first one, and that's gonna be
Alex,
that's
why
gonna
don't
be
you throw
a
up
big leap
Trump's
for people.
versus Biden's charts? That's going to be fun.
yeah, but that's not cool though.
Is
right?
it? It's not cool.
Yeah, we don't want to get people all riled up against because politics and political theater are one and the same. So it's like we can look at these people until our eyes turn blue.
I've been looking at Donald Trump's chart since 2016, and it's like I'm sick of the goddamn thing, right? So
yeah, because like Gemini is looking at Gemini has to be so annoying.
Yeah, I don't want to look at it because I don't want to know what happens, and I know if I look at it, I'm going to know what happens, and I can't. I need to be ignorant. That's the only thing that's going to help.
Someone says, curious to know what this controversial life event is. Sometimes this can give people who falsify public records or condemnations and complications through employees. What is that in reference to? Kinesis Films. I see your comments. I'm not sure what that.
What is the house that rules employees?
That would be the 6th house.
Really? Okay, that's good. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the 6th house is servants, slaves, employees, like people that do people that act on your behalf.
It's so weird because in the modern, we also have 6th house as the body and in the career. And I feel like 6th house is so mushy.
Well,
like
6th
it doesn't
is also health, right? It's also health problems.
Right.
But
and the medical
and it can also be work related themes. In particular, it's like the work it's not necessarily the work that it's the work that's like sustains you, right? It's the work that you have to keep doing, right? It's the maintenance, right? It's like if your midheaven is how everyone sees you, then the 6th house is all of the gears and junk underneath the hood that makes the car run and makes the car go. Right?
Thank you. That makes so much sense. Yeah, because people only look at 10th for career, and then they go to 6th house and they're like, work? Like, this doesn't make any sense,
Yes.
So it's like the high level and then the day-to-day.
So Cosmic Shitso also says pets, and that's interesting. So I recently had a cool thing where my cat, who's come in the room, right, and he's been bothering me because he wants.
Oh my gosh! Do we get an appearance?
Yeah.
I love animal appearances.
Oh, look at the Barbie.
Orange cat.
I rescued him shortly after an eclipse that occurred 18 and a half years ago at the same spot that we just had the eclipse, to the degree.
That cat's 18 and a half years old? That cat was 2.
Yes. So I rescued the cat. I found it in an alley. It was like abandoned by its mom. It was like in a puddle. He was drowning. So I nursed him back to health. And then I had him for a few months. And then my little brother, I was like 15 at the time, right? So my little brother ended up getting an allergy to the cat, and I had to give the cat to my grandma, right? And then we had this solar eclipse at the same exact spot when I got the cat. That then the cat came back after my grandma died, and the cat didn't have anywhere else to go. I took him back, and so it's a very and Aries is my 6th house
Okay.
natively, right?
Okay.
So
There you go.
like I can,
Yep.
like I was showing
Got
my chart
domicile.
before. So that's a great example for pets.
I'm wondering if people have had, anybody in the comments, I'm wondering if you've had a visceral change in the last 2 days. Because what's happened in the last 2 days is we've had 2 planets, personals, big personals, move into houses and signs that they love. We've had Taurus and Venus moving into Taurus. We've had Mars moving into Aries. I haven't felt it yet. Have you guys noticed anything new or like alleviated or
Oh yeah,
understood?
absolutely. So yeah, we can pull up the chart of the moment here.
Yeah, this is a big deal because in the 2024 year forecasts, many astrologers said if you guys can get through like the thick forecast, many astrologers said May is going to be the month where everything lightens up. And here we are.
So
And
well, I think this is when everything kind of comes to a head, and
another way to put it.
like we had the eclipses, and then now I think now there's going to be, I mean, maybe in people's personal lives there might be a difference, but like for example, let's go back. So like when Mars entered Aries, right? I went out, and there's like all the crackheads were out, right? Like I was
Great.
not in
Yes, of
the
course.
best neighborhood, right? Like because I keep it real, right? I'm a public defender. I'm of the people, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to be living in
You're not living in a mansion on the hill.
Also I can't afford anything good.
No way.
So anyway, last night I posted on Twitter about my chickens that a possum got into their coop and was about to kill them, and it was just when Mars
Ingress?
Yeah, no, it was here. It was around 11. It was around 11:15.
Oh shit.
All right, I'm stepping it forward. So, yeah, 11:15 puts Mars right there on the IC. Right, he's ingress, and he's right there on the IC, which is the home. Right, so this is the chart of the moment for when my chickens got attacked.
So poetic.
By
So
a
poetic.
possum last night. Right, so we got Mars here.
Yes.
And
I mentioned on Twitter about how in the Sabian symbols, the first degree of Aries is a woman rising out of the ocean. A seal is embracing her. And I just thought of a naked woman running around with the seals of the land, which are, I guess, in my mind, possums now. Makes no sense. There's no degree for possums that I know of, but I'm just like
naked. I did run out completely.
You know what's really funny though is that your moon.
Go ahead.
The chicken was okay, right? Everyone was.
Yes.
The degree of your moon. That's what I was going to mention. You're good.
Yes. Let me pull up my chart.
Chickens are not super intelligent creatures, so I think we can use your chart for them.
Okay, it's backwards. So here I am, Pisces Mercury, showing you backward shit. Hey, everyone. The degree of Leo, 21 degrees, is intoxicated chickens dizzily flap their wings trying to fly. So that's your moon degree.
That's crazy that's the Sabian symbol for my moon. I've never looked that up before. That's great.
Flapping around.
I love that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we had a Venus star point on there not long ago. And that was I did a master class on the Venus star points in 2022, I think. I can't remember. And that was a date of someone getting sober, and they heard that degree and they're like, oh my God, of course it's the perfect timing. I think it was August, I believe 2014.
Oh, I was going to say it's not Venus and Taurus. No one's getting sober during Venus and Taurus. They're going to get fat.
No, I've never wanted to. Yes. I've never wanted to just be fed grapes more than I do right now. It's my Venus return coming up, and I'm like, somebody else do everything, please.
Yeah, and it's weird because
I'm pretty well taken care of, but
signs that are next to each other can't see each other. So
right.
Mars and Aries and Venus and Taurus are totally separate energies. They have nothing to do one with the other. but they're still
Just
the
vibing in their
same.
own world.
They're vibing in their own world. So your life might feel a little schizophrenic because you could have this Mars energy in whatever house it is, and then it's totally opposite of when you come home for work or whatever, and you have this amazing Taurus energy. So they're not holding hands, but
Yeah,
they're yin and yanging a little bit, you know?
I love that.
Until Jupiter pops into Taurus, and then we are like, oh, there's like a week when they're together, which is going to be really nice. Around May 16th, I think.
Yeah. The Jupiter Kazemi is on May 19th this year.
Awesome.
Ooh.
I'm wondering if there's anyone else that wants to jump on, like before
Yeah.
we wrap up. Is there anyone else that wants to jump on, maybe get their chart looked at, like
Yeah,
we
or
did
if you
here,
guys just have like a degree or something, I can always look up
or anything?
degrees.
Right?
Yeah.
Give us
Hey,
Transits and
you know
give us
what?
a
I'm gonna
chart.
make some room. So thank you guys for hanging out with
Oh,
me.
okay.
I hope someone
Ingrid,
else
you've been
jumps
So
on.
much for
fantastic.
coming on. We really appreciated that, and thank you so much for
No,
You're
sharing your
you guys
chart.
are
amazing. Everybody
awesome.
go
I love you guys. So you're really, really, really
love
good.
you.
And this has
This
been
has been so fun.
well worth my time. And I'm going to tell everybody that it's going to be well worth their time.
Yeah. And maybe I'll see you when I'm in Seattle next month.
Of course.
Yeah. Or late
Ooh,
this month,
jealous.
actually. This month.
I know.
So
May. With
yeah.
Jupiter in Venus or both. Okay, I'm done. All right. I'll talk
All
to you
right.
later.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
This has been
Here we
great.
go. Let's just jump right back into it. Let's see, what chart could we pull? We would pull anything, guys. Like I'm feeling pretty good. I'm good to keep going for a little
Yeah,
bit
we could.
longer, like another 30 minutes or so. So, if you have been on the fence, like now is the time. Now is the time. Um, what are y'all thinking? I know
Could just give a
we've got
quick
enough
recap
people
that
here.
the Astro quiz was a little bit of a promo.
Oh, yes. Yes. So now that we've got a lot more people here, we can go back over that. So the Astro quiz was actually my chart and Gracey's chart, if anyone hasn't realized that. So, we are showing our charts live on stream because, we can't ask you to do something we wouldn't be willing to do, right? We thought it'd be fun. So, um, so we've thrown both of our charts up there. Can go back to, let's do,
I really loved having a guest with such great insight too, and that was really fun to have the live aspect. So if you guys are feeling awkward or uncomfortable about it, hey, I feel like this generation, like that I'm a part of, that Alex is part of, we just kind of grew up with the random chat rooms and the Omegle feature and the just don't talk to strangers or do so, whatever.
yeah, no,
All
I
right, so
am,
this would be the chart.
oh, this is my chart that I've got up now.
Hmm.
We could pull up yours.
That's chart
I mean,
B.
I mean, I guess something I'll say about my chart, right, that's something I really like is, um,
Yeah, let's do that.
yeah, so something I really like about my chart here is this Neptune Mercury trine here. It's actually the most exact aspect in my chart. Um, and I said before that I think that personal planets aspecting the outers really really closely can help with like intuitive or psychic or occult ability. Um, also, that's something I really like. I also like the Pallas Sun conjunction in my chart. Pallas is like the third eye asteroid. Um, so, those things. And I mean, also, but if I have to say that my favorite placement, it's got to be Mars and Pisces here. Yeah, I love this. It's great. Mars and Pisces can be a bit, it's like, Mars in Pisces is like even though everyone sucks, like I also like can't help but see like I have to see the good in people, right? It's like I try to find like even with the worst people something redeeming about them, right? You know, I couldn't do the job I do otherwise if I wasn't able to see the humanity in people that did terrible things, right? And I feel like my Mars in Pisces helps me understand that and gives me empathy for you know, people that are on the outside, people that are on the fringes, people that rightly or wrongly are not going to get much sympathy from others, right? So I feel like, you know, my Mars in Pisces is like the people on the, you know, like I fight for the people on the fringes, right? People on the outside of things. Um, so that's what I like about my chart. Yeah.
I love your first house, Pluto, because people are either obsessed with you, stalk you, have fascinations with you, or just become quickly magnetically drawn to you in such intense ways, especially with that Lilith there. Whew.
Yeah, I actually have had multiple stalkers. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that's kind of
That's scary.
yeah, it's I'm not gonna talk about that
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
here,
You don't have
but
to.
it's
Scorpio,
it
like
has been
anyone with
a
Pluto and Scorpio, has been, in some ways, it's just a generational thing where there's been a lot of unsettling things that have happened under that Pluto transit for sure.
yeah.
I feel like that's a very relatable placement.
Let's go to yours and see you can tell what
Okay.
you like about your chart. What's your
Nothing. I'm
favorite
kidding.
things?
Something that has been really hard for me to step into as an astrologer is the transition from working so much in what, you know, the new age world would call the 3D, and living so much in the this isn't real, this doesn't exist. Like, I've always had a connection with the paranormal, and I've been a very sensitive kid since, I mean, obviously since I was a kid. But my parents have always been very aware of the people that I'm around and the situations that I'm in. Always seem like very haphazard until they turn around real quickly. So it's like very much you look at my sixth house and you're like, that sounds about right. But really, that North Node in Pisces, and it's square my Chiron in the 12th house. And, you know, having an intercepted Chiron is already a little bit of a mystery. My subconscious has been a battlefield in many ways, just because I pioneered a lot of things in my hometown. I live on my Saturn DC line, if anyone does astrocartography. So I'm kind of in the shadow of my dad, who is also a public figure in this city. He was in the Hall of Fame for playing rugby here, and is very well known for sports growing up. Lived here, born and raised here. And so was he. So I'm a second generation troublemaker in this city. But Kansas City has always been home. I traveled a little bit. So that Pisces ninth house in that Pisces MC, I blend in with a lot of cultures easily. But that North Node, really being strong and standing tall in my abilities and my confidence, and being able to just kind of embrace it. You know, my dad is also a Pisces North Node. So I'm learning what that looks like at different stages. And it's a lot of knowing that it's okay to be softer, because the rest of my chart will protect me. So I'm learning how to embrace my subconscious and the speech impediment that I grew up with, that I mentioned earlier in the stream. I believe overcoming that speech impediment to end up talking for a living when I ended up doing sports media and sports radio was really cool. But I was always this like
That's so
angry
cool.
figure in the public eye before. I was known for calling out a lot of like bad behavior on people. I went very much rogue in my media career. I ended up calling out a lot of people that were abusing power, and that's also my Pluto trying my MC. I just don't like when people take advantage of innocent people, and it's something that I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't like. So it's not I'm not like
Oh
alone in
yeah.
that, but it's definitely an area of my chart that's taken a lot of softening myself and knowing that I don't have to be the fierce warrior that I've always been. I would fight anyone and everyone for my family growing up. So it was a little bit intense. That Capricorn Mars shows out a lot too. But, I've really learned the beauty of connection and the beauty of slowing the mind down. And so meditation and the Four Agreements was the book that changed my life. And that was during my Saturn return in 2018, 2019. And it was a lot of my paths being burned down. So I would change to this one. And then all of a sudden I go viral for astrology and get outed, in a sense, to my family and friends who were just like, I thought you were just doing some podcast stuff. And now what is this? Why is JJ Watt talking about you? I'm like, it was crazy. But, it's definitely something I can't avoid. The spotlight, either if it's been working in the community or being a public figure or being in the shadow of my dad. It's always just, I have different names too. That's one thing I haven't talked about is in my media life, I went by my initials, which are GAT. And so everyone called me GAT. I was called the Gatling gun of sports radio. So I don't know where that shows up, but there's that.
Well, one thing I just noticed about your chart here is that we got the sun and we got Venus, and the Venus is actually basically at maximum elongation from the sun, right? So the maximum distance that Venus can get from the sun at any one time is around 48 degrees, right? And if we look here, we've got 28 degrees to the rest of Aries, plus 17 degrees. It's getting very close to the maximum elongation. So I'm wondering, is Venus about to station retrograde in your chart? I don't have my ephemeris next to me, which I should, but I can just do
How dare you?
this.
Just pull up CoStar. That'll work. I'm kidding. 1988 was a crazy year. Ronald Reagan was up to some things.
No, it's not. But it's going to. It basically stays. Then the sun starts gaining on it, right? Wonder when. It's interesting though that the Venus is like at this extended length, right? Like I've been trying to. Like I feel like I know how Mercury functions at maximum elongation. I've seen some examples of that, but I'm wondering if there's any like stress with Venus themes, right? Because, being as far away from the sun, you'd think that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing, right? And
No.
so, Venus rules. What does Venus rule? I mean,
My fifth house.
By whole sign, it's 11th. It rules your 11th.
Yeah.
And by whole sign, it also rules your 4th. But you've got a Pisces. You've got a 9th house MC. So it's like Venus and like. So Venus is like your Venus is really the ruler of your 12th in Placidus.
Right.
And the 4th,
Very much so.
And the ruler of your 5th in Placidus. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, I imagine that Venus has got have Venus themes. How do you feel about your Venus? Right. I guess I should just ask you.
My Venus is a very unique placement simply because I have been in like masculine roles my whole life and masculine arenas. And so getting to know what that Venus and Taurus was all about was kind of an interesting experience. But the Sabian symbol I just for people that are not familiar with my work, the first degree I look at is the exact degree of the placement. So in this case, it'd be 17 degrees Taurus is the karmic degree, and 18 degrees Taurus would be the truth degree, and then 19 degrees Taurus would be the solution degree. So in this case, with my Venus and being in the community kind of, I call Venus in the 11th house the homie hopper placement. So I can just roast myself here a little bit. dating within friend groups, of course, but being kind of like a community leader and that blazing sword of justice that Venus can wield. The symbol for my Venus at 17 degrees, though, is a symbolical battle between swords, the disciples of might, and torches, the disciples of enlightenment. So it literally is swords versus torches, and which one you're going to choose. So I feel like I had a choice with my voice. I had a very, very loud choice with my voice, and I made my voice a very much like a judgment day kind of thing. Like when sportscasters in the world were acting up and saying crazy shit, I would call them out on it very publicly. And these are people that have been in sports media for like 25 years, and I'm just coming in 4 months into it. I'm like 1 hour on once a week on ESPN Kansas City, and I'm just like raising hell in the first few weeks. And so I get to choose whether I take the high road or the low road a lot with my love life. And so with a lot of like people that I've been in relationships with Venus opposite Pluto, it's very much a tumultuous situation until I choose to transform through love, which is not something that's easy for me with that opposition. I've really had to embrace my public life. Like my public image has ruined a lot of relationships because people weren't ready to be in the spotlight. And it's not like Kansas City is like Hollywood, but I mean, we've got a lot of attention the last few years because of sports teams and people being here and all that. So Kansas City was kind of a big epicenter for sports. And since I was in the middle of it, I made some interesting decisions that were definitely substance fueled, and that was part of my lore as well. So that's like part of my 12th house moon. You can't avoid that. Like there's going to be some issues with like, okay, what's your drug of choice? And for a long time I just kept going 100 miles an hour. So my Venus embrace didn't come until probably my 12th house year, which is funny since Venus rules my 12th house, and that was just last year. I'm really dedicating my first house year this year to self-care, dropping dead weight of whatever is holding me back, which is sometimes just me, me getting in my head. Crazy to think that, but yeah, I really love that question because I think more people need to ask themselves what their Venus story is all about, because Venus is not just the love planet, it's about so much more, and it's about who you are at your core and how that shows up with relationships and with other people.
Yeah, I agree. And another signification of Venus is that I like is, I mean, I know that the trad people aren't gonna like this, but Venus is money, right? Venus is, you see in people that have a lot of money, their Venus has, is going to be, very prominent, or making really good aspects to some of the outer planets, right? So, I
I
mean,
was
I
great with
think
other
Venus.
people's money for sure. I got to do marketing for a lot of NFL players and clients through the years too before I was jumping into media. So it was like I got that Athena, Palace Athena over there in the eighth house. I feel like, having that gift is definitely, I'm very protective of other people's assets, and I want other people to be
Yeah.
able to trust me with that. So it's definitely something.
Saturn rules your lot of spirit, which a lot of people associate with career, right? And
Ooh.
Saturn is also the ruler of your eighth house, right? And Saturn is trining a lot of spirits, so it's making contact with a lot. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that you have had, uh, dealt with other people's money, right? Especially
Yeah, and
because it's
that's
also
fun.
Jupiter, right?
Kinesis Films asked about
Jupiter's
my mom.
wealth.
My mother is probably one of my closest friends and frenemies. She has a 22-degree Sagittarius moon. So I was brought into her life to be a little bit of a karmic jokester. And I ran the roost for quite some time, but my parents divorced when I was about 5 or so. And so my mom and I were just kind of on our own doing our thing most of the time. But yeah, she's a huge part of my life, but I really had to embrace that kind of like back and forth with her as an adult, because sometimes a lot of people would say that she's verbally abusive with the Sagittarius moon. So I'm like, nah, she's also a 29-degree Capricorn sun. So that I think plays in a little bit more with the way that she mixes words.
Yeah. So I've joined back in here so I can look
Yes.
at the chat.
Yeah, you were
So,
in
so
the
I need to
zone.
get
Like
a second
that software
monitor.
is great.
Yeah, I need to get a second monitor. Let's see. Someone says Venus and Jupiter here are good for children. Mercury's near the midheaven. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that goes back to the quiz from this week, right? Where because I had pointed out earlier that in Gracie's chart, Mercury's natural ruler of children, it's prominent. Um, and whatever house you go by, if you go by Placidus, the ruler of the fifth house is Venus. Venus is advancing to an angle. And then I'm not sharing it. My bad. I keep forgetting to do that.
It's okay.
So
It's
uh,
stream 1. We got this.
we've got here Gracie's chart. She's got Mercury prominent. She's got the ruler of the fifth. It's either Venus or Mars, depending if you use Placidus or whole sign. Either way, both of those rulers would be advancing towards an angle, right? So the ruler of the fifth house, which is children, is gaining strength in her chart, versus in my chart. If we go back to that, uh, the ruler of the fifth is Jupiter, and Jupiter is declining from an angle here, right? So, that I think that might have been the easiest tell on this week's quiz as to like who's likely to have kids. But the problem is that, if we go to Gracie's chart, Gracie, she you could mistake this for a lawyer, right? I mean, there's because lawyers are Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury, right? And we've got those. Well, we've got Jupiter ruling Mercury, and we've got Jupiter witnessing Mars. Right now, it's not as much of a combination as you'd want to see for an attorney, but there is at least some combination of those three planets there, right? So I could see how someone could mistake this chart for an attorney's chart. Also, this Aries sun that's culminating is loud, and the sun is ruling the third house of communication, right? Or the second house if you're going by whole sign. So I could see people mistaking this for a lawyer, but I still can't get over the fact that everyone thought that I was
The
everyone thought
stay
I
at
was
home.
the stay-at-home mom, right? When I
Maybe it's the Aries Vesta and conjuncture Venus.
yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't think I'm ever gonna have kids. I mean,
I think
I
I
have.
remember you saying like people who willingly choose to have children are generic like insane. And I'm like, you
Yeah,
know what? I'm
yeah.
not even mad about that because I'm like,
Stone
I
cold
get it.
maniacs is what I called them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stone Cold Maniacs. There we go. Like that fifth house Scorpio Pluto. It's very much like could easily choose not to have kids. So I get it. There's definitely been times in my life where I've said when I was a kid, I'm not going to have kids. But I think that's also, when you're a kid, you choose to kind of accept the tasks that you see that are, easy to handle. And I didn't really witness parenting being easy. I witnessed parenting being like, okay, what nanny are we going to hire for her? And I was kind of raised by a Chinese nanny when my parents were traveling. So I had an embrace of all sorts of culture, and that's kind of like my ninth house Mercury too. I have a lot of family that's international and from all different walks of life. My dad's family adopted, kind of like just embraced into their home, and now he's a part of the family, not like a legal adoption. But they had a man from the Congo come over in the 1960s in the middle of Leawood, Kansas, and Leawood it's very known for being affluent. They build certain borders around their city so certain people can't be included in the country club. Just real redlining shit. That's what Kansas City was really known for, redlining and mafia and crime. But there's just so much spirit of what there is capable with that Pisces kind of energy, and that ninth house Mercury really felt comfortable to be around people of all walks of life. And that's why I've kind of always just had a very diverse friend group, and just I can travel, and most of my friends live really far away. So I'm just like, hey guys, I'll be the same place where you left me. But yeah, I take care of my dad right now full time. He had open heart surgery in April 2023, and then he had back surgery this year and had another heart surgery in May last year. So it's just been like this nonstop caretaker. So that was my 12th house year. And now he's getting better, back on his feet, and it's been like really rewarding. So I am a recent stay-at-home mom, if that does help. Like in the last 3 years, 2021 is when I rage quit my media career and just disappeared, which is very 12th house mood of me. But yeah, I can definitely see where it's a trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas City
So,
is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift identified now. Yep. I can't escape. Can't escape.
all right, guys.
Yeah, I love
Well,
these comments. That's like my favorite part
yeah. So
of this whole
this is good,
experience. So
guys.
this has
This
been
is
great.
literally your last chance, right, for a chart reading. Because if no one
Yep.
sends me a message or
We can do
posts in the
one more
chat in the
chart.
next like 5 minutes, we're gonna end it, right? So I'm going to I'm gonna go use the bathroom, and hopefully when I come back, one of you is brave enough to come on. We'll even let you come on
Tape
video
together.
if you want, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait till people are like ready. I feel like Jupiter going into Gemini and having like more Gemini energy, people might be quick to show their face with. Who knows? I'm hoping. A lot of people could be astrology aficionados from a burner account. So embrace your inner astrologer. That's going to be the message for sure. I love some of these comments. Venus is 100% money when she conjuncted my 11th house sun by transit. A stranger paid for my shopping. Oh my God, that's a fun experience. I love that. Yeah, this is another comment. Interesting that you have South Node in the fourth. Seems to fit my early childhood. Absolutely. It was fun though. That quiz was probably the most difficult one that I've come across. Although there was not any room to make it a meth theme like Alex has done in the past with the random what event was this charts. That's been pretty amazing. But really getting to see all of the reactions and responses, like people are so talented in this community. And lately I've just been seeing a lot of argumentative content, and that's okay. Like it's okay to argue with people. Hello, I have a 7th house Mars. I'm going to always encourage, playful and helpful argument. But I really like this setup to where we can come together as a community, read different charts, learn, observe together. That conversation is crucial. Like, how are we going to get through, 2024 in general if we cannot find common ground? So this has been the fun first step, I feel like.
Yeah. No, that's what I like to do with the quizzes is, we can all come together and debate things. And honestly, everyone that answers the quizzes every week, like thank you guys so much. Like the comments are seriously the best part of it. And I love seeing how everyone got their answers, and like, even the wrong answers a lot of times have great delineations, and it just shows just like how tricky this stuff really is, right? And how precise you have to be. And we're all learning, right? Like when I started doing this, I got the idea for the quizzes because what I would do when I was hanging out with my friends, right, is I would, we'd be getting drunk or whatever. And I would be like, all right, think of a random famous person, right? Don't tell me who it is, right? And look them up and see if they have a publicly recorded birth time, right? And if they did, then the person would give me the chart information. I would pull it up on my phone, and I would have to try and guess what the person was famous for, right? And that is where um, that's where um, the inspiration for the show came, or the not the show, the quizzes came. Is doing this because I found that if I was given two charts and like categories to choose from, right? Like that's the format that I like to do is like because sometimes it's easier to tell if you've got like because if you don't recognize something in one of them, maybe you'll recognize something in the other one, right? That's the idea, right? And so that's where the inspiration from the show came and or from for the quizzes came. And then this I decided to start this show because I was just trying to read people's charts at random, right? Just trying to do it off the top of my head. And I think we did pretty good. I mean, I Gracie deserves a lot of credit. I mean, that's definitely her Aries sun coming out, right? Being willing to just like jump on here and go for it. So it's really cool. Um,
I'd like to just give you some props because like this idea is something that scientists are now studying and putting to the test. Like I'm a little bit hyphy. I get jumping into situations maybe before I need to. And that a scientist guy that kind of pissed off every astrologer in the astrology community saying, "Hey, we're gonna charge people or say if people can read these charts, we're going to give them $1,000, whatever that whole, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about."
yes, Spencer Greenberg. He followed me
Yeah.
after people told him about my quizzes, but um, yeah, you said they never got back to you, right?
Oh, they did yesterday and they sent me a
Oh, really?
link. Yeah, so the whole insight on it is they're going to make the link public soon, but the first person to get 11 out of 12 of these charts guessing correctly. I don't know. I don't know when I want to do it. I'm very excited that I took the initiative to just reach out and see what it was all about, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's
I
going to be
should
an
do that
interesting one.
because
And they're going to open it to the public
I only
soon.
know of a few other people that have agreed to do that study. Um,
I just like
and
pushing boundaries and seeing if it's possible because like I've been spot on with predictions, but I also feel like it's kind of easy after you studied mundane astrology to see patterns, but it's not easy to always be spot on with the timing. But lately a lot of things have been coming up that people have been studying for decades with 2024 astrology. So I've been learning a lot from people sharing information, and I've been trying to share more of my sports astrology. I almost gave up because a lot of people were like just like completely ignoring my boundaries, asking about 1,000 different games, and usually like it's kind of like standard to tip whatever you win earnings wise, and a lot of people have done that, and I've been floored by the amount of times that it's been right, and that's a really cool thing. Just gambling and astrology. I love gamblers because they have degenerate minds just like I have a tendency to do. I'm like, I had a Lithuanian basketball betting problem in like 2017. So I'm like, I don't gamble anymore and I don't place money on my own picks, but I love it when other people do. I think it's great. So my goal with this is to maybe help people see like sports charts and like help people make more money somehow. But I'm not really into crypto, so I'm not able to help the finance guys or the finance bros with all that. But it's been definitely a journey of seeing how so many different industries can benefit from astrology. And it's crazy that people are just now kind of like coming out with all the different ways that they use astrology. And I wouldn't be surprised with the more Neptune gets closer and closer to that 29 degrees. And then, the ingress into Aries. Whew, I feel like it's going to be like maybe the occult is a little bit revealed. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, 2026 is yeah, in terms of world astrology, it's pretty crazy. Actually, Dan Waits has a video series about the astrology of 2026 on his YouTube channel. I recommend you guys check that out if you
Ooh.
haven't already. I actually helped Dan with some of the research for that series of videos, and it was really fun working with him on that project. And yeah, you should, if you're curious about 2026 and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. Go check out World Astrology Report, Dan Waits on YouTube. He's got a great video series about that.
Yes.
Definitely recommend that. Everyone's saying that they love the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. And I am Astro. If you're still here, I know you asked a little bit ago what the quiz answer was. Quiz answer is that chart B is the lawyer, chart A is the stay-at-home mom. I'm chart B, and Gracey's chart A. So if you go back and watch the live stream, you'll get to see us breaking down our own charts. It's kind of fun. We also did read a couple people's charts on stream. I think we got to 3, which is a pretty good number. All right, I can tell that we're not going to get any more brave takers. So, but I'm not sure I really want to end it. You're good to stay on for a little bit longer, Grace? Or do you need to go? When do you need to go?
I don't have shit to
You need
do.
to go soon, don't you?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well,
I've got my
we
household
could
under
pull
lock
up
as a
something
stay-at-home mom.
We could look at someone else's chart. I mean, we could go back to one of the previous quizzes if people want to
Yeah,
discuss
previous
that.
quiz. I think I sent you a couple charts too. If any of them sound good.
Oh yeah, one of those. Yeah.
And shout out to Katie Owen Wilson that watching Astro Live. I like to call my friends by different names than their actual names. I have a friend that I didn't know his name for like 8 years of our friendship, and that was like my best friend for a while. And I just called him Thunderdome. It was perfect. You got to have some mystery in life, whether it comes from friend circles, creating your own, choose your own adventure. Did you like those books growing up?
The Choose Your Own Adventure books? Yes. Yeah, I like those.
Those were the best.
In fact, one of the things I like to say when I'm doing readings, especially for like, because so when I do readings, right, I do a lot of in-person readings, and a lot of my business comes from word of mouth, and so a lot of times I'm not dealing with the astrology nerds on Twitter, right? I'm dealing with like normies and people that, that it's like
Do you call them
they
muggles ever?
that like, and so you have to kind of explain things, and one of the go-to things I have is that it's kind of like a choose your own adventure book, right? Life, right? Like there's certain things that are set, right, that are gonna happen, like the
I did not
setting
mean
and
to
the
highlight that. I'm sorry.
characters and all of that is that's kind of set, but you do have choices, right? And I think there's a lot of people want to erase free will, but entirely, but I really don't think that is the case, because I mean it just depends on the situation, right? And I also think that feeling like saying that there is no room for free will is, it's an absolute statement, and absolute statements tend to be wrong, right? And not always, but because if I said they're always wrong, that would be an absolute statement, right? And so that would be wrong, right? So
Yes, the lawyer is coming out very
but
strongly. Do not incriminate yourself.
so you had some suggestions of charts to go over. We have John F.
Yeah, I didn't know
Kennedy,
whatever.
Albert
Oh, yeah.
Einstein, or Monica Lewinsky.
That's a crazy
Yeah.
mix. You're welcome. The reason Monica Lewinsky came up is because recently with that "This Is the Asylum They Raised Me In" trend, she posted the White House, and I just got done watching that FX series on the impeachment where they showed like Linda Tripp and Monica Lewinsky, and part of Monica Lewinsky's chart that was so crazy was the 10th house energy, and I'm like, look at that, public scandal is unavoidable. So it's just crazy to look at, but it's definitely
Let's
cool.
pull up her chart real quick. All right, so it is. We're gonna add it to Solar Fire.
Yeah, shout out to celebrities that give us the birth time and biographies. We love you.
23rd of July, 1973. At 12:21 p.m. in San Francisco.
That "If You're Going to San Francisco" song just popped into my head.
If you're going. Okay, let's share.
Is that Scott McKenzie? I can't remember. This is the things my Pisces Mercury just remembers. Nothing absolutely useful.
All right, here we go. Here's
Yes.
Monica Lewinsky's chart. So, all right, what do we got? What jumps out to us?
I
Even
mean,
though
Venus
even
can
though
be a big one
Gracey
for sure.
sent me these charts days ago, I I did not look at them at all because
Good.
that's just how I roll, right?
That's
This is
cheating.
Astro Live, right? This is Astro Live. So, I mean, you've
Live
got
means
Mercury
live.
and Mercury is retrograde about 5 degrees away from the sun. That's although I mean Venus there is Venus looks
That Pluto sextile Vesta is something that I definitely want to talk about because asteroids are probably something that I've added in the last couple of years of my practice. But any insight into that I'd really love.
so Vesta and what was the other planet?
And Pluto in the 12th.
Pluto. Oh, right. I mean, man. I mean, I use the asteroids, but I've never even thought about a Pluto Vesta aspect. I'll be honest, I'm not really even sure what to say about that. I mean, I
Okay.
would say that her Vesta conjunct her sun. So, um, so Vesta is like the sex asteroid,
And like the
right?
hearth, right?
You
It's very
know,
much
it's like the home and
my
it's
ring
like
kind of looks like
sex
Vesta.
stuff, right? So, you know, I mean, it's conjunct the sun and the sun is culminating, right? So, you know, she's known for some kind of Vesta themes, right? And like the thing of Vesta is like, you know, the Vestal virgins, right? The or and also Vesta is associated with both the myth of the Vestal virgins and also the myth of like the sacred whores, right? The whores that
Hmm.
would, you know, perform initiatory sexual rites at the temple. And so I don't know. I mean, this Leo Sun Vesta conjunction, I mean, that's not, it doesn't surprise me she's got that, right? Given what she did with Bill Clinton. And it's also making contact here with Ceres and Neptune. And so it's like, it's like, it's like secrets out, right?
Right. And she's got a lot of secrets.
I
That's
also
for sure.
I also like this Mars Chiron conjunction
That's definitely something I
on
was
the
going to talk
7th.
about.
Like it's like how much more literal can you be, right? With like it's like a all right, so you know, Mars conjunct Chiron applying to the descendant. Like wow, right? Like to me that's like yeah, man's going to hurt you, right? Um
Absolutely can be. And that mental unrest and that your mind is not a safe place. I think she really did experience a lot of that paranoia. Seeing how she was like an executive producer of that series, of the impeachment series that I watched. I know that she got to put a lot of truth into that and got to put a lot of like her own experience. So in that series, it talked a lot or showed a lot of the paranoia of people listening to her phones and other people tapping in. And that can be a lot of that mental paranoia. And 20 degrees is a Scorpio degree, so that is already going to be a little bit more intense than usual.
yes, for sure. I
Another
mean,
a comment from Cosmic Shit Show is
yes.
wherever Vesta is in a male's chart, he is surrounded by women. I like that. And then the moon, the exalted moon. How do you feel about exalted
Yes.
planets in general? Obviously, I have exalted Sun and exalted Mars, but like, how do you feel about exalted planets? Like, is it people always assume it's just easier for them, but that's not the case.
I mean, I'll be honest, like the whole dignity scheme kind of takes a back seat for me when I read charts. Like I will consider it, but usually as like a second, like a really third or fourth string consideration for me at this point. I mean, it's important for things like elections and magic and stuff like that, but I've honestly found that like with the charts I've read that like, there's like for example, right? I see all the time, I see like with lawyers' charts, I will see Mercury and Jupiter in mutual reception where both of them are in detriment, right? Like Jupiter in Virgo and Mercury in Sagittarius. But they're great at speaking, and like the Jupiter Mercury connection really shines through, even though they're both in detriment. And I think, with stuff like that, Mercury and Jupiter in each other's signs is a great thing, right? So with the moon, I feel like the moon is probably like I can't even barely I don't even think it's really harmed that much in Capricorn. I mean, it's like yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I've found that the delineations of like exalted versus anything like that, like exalted is something I don't really know how to categorize because with rulership with domicile, I think they have responsibility, right? So with this chart, like Venus, here she's got responsibility for the first house, right? And Venus also has responsibility uh, for the eighth house. And I think that that's the way I look at dignity is like it gives the planet duties. It doesn't really make them strong. Um, because I mean, I've seen people with, you know, like so for this person, like her moon, what aspects is it making? All right, it's square Jupiter, right? It's also um
Square
it's also
Vesta a little bit.
yeah, I mean, this moon is like this moon's like something that it's also just I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
I think it's interesting that's in the seventh house for sure. With her Mercury retrograde in the 10th house of that Aries degree, that really shows to me the betrayal of a woman close to her. And kind of just a little bit of that. I mean, with her moon square Mars, there's already going to be some, or not her moon, her Mercury square Mars. There's going to be a little bit of that tension already with her words and like, she
yeah,
might take back some words, and the taking back of words happened a lot with that whole impeachment and everything. So it was definitely an
exactly.
interesting.
Because the moon here is responsible for
Mhm.
these here. The moon's responsible for all of
Right.
this. So you're exactly right, right? So the moon is basically taking care of this, and that this activation here is going to be under the rulership of the moon when that's Mercury Mars square is activated, right? And also Mars squaring a lot of fortune. Right, it looks like I mean, we know this person got attention through an uncomfortable situation, right? But
Mhm.
it definitely looks like, any kind of prominence they're going to receive is going to be checked by this Mars down here, right?
And that 25-degree Mercury, by the way, in Cancer in the Sabian symbols is represented by a leader of men wrapped in an invisible cloak of power. And the navy dress, I feel like, just sticks out for me with that one.
That's really cool. I like that. Okay, I've just come back to look at the quizzes, the answers. All right, guys. Well, I don't know. All right, let's do one more. Let's look at one of the quizzes. Let me think. Oh, so here's something. So you guys, only the most you know, ridiculously devoted and obsessed fans of the Astro quiz would know this, but this is not the first time my chart has appeared in one of the Astro quizzes, right? It was on this week, but my chart was actually secretly plugged into a previous quiz, right? So let's pull that up. Here we go. So this one was transits, right? So this quiz will test your knowledge of transits. Here are two charts for a couple that were together for 7 years. You're provided with 4 date ranges, each consisting of 3 months each. Choose the date range where the breakup occurred. All right, and the majority did get it right. All right, so this is, here we are. I had secretly put my my chart in the quiz all along, right? So
Ooh,
um
plot twist.
yeah, that's kind of a little Easter egg for everyone watching. I thought it was funny. This was actually fucking crazy when all this shit went down. It was like, it was during the eclipses where, um, it's like Saturn was fucking square the nodes.
Totally
and,
casual.
and, I had an eclipse that was like exact on my ascendant, descendant, right? And then there was eclipse on my ex that it hit um exactly on his moon and midheaven, all right, at the same time. And also Saturn was stationing direct on his Jupiter, which is his 7th house placement, and Jupiter is the ruler of his 7th house. Or Saturn is the ruler of his 7th house, and Saturn was stationing direct on Jupiter, his only 7th house placement. Right? So that was the breakup. That's what caused that to just disintegrate. Was those eclipses fucking wrecked both of our charts, and yeah, we're divorced. But you guys can all learn from my folly, right? And you can teach yourself how to become better astrologers off the back of, my emotional torment, which is, exactly how I would want things to go, right? I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's amazing though, because like embracing parts of you that were not fun to live through, when Saturn went through my 7th house. Hell, I just got done with Pluto in my 7th house too. It was definitely a time of reckoning. Broke off engagements, completely transformed my relationship life. My public life and my dating life became the subject of a lot of internet chatter and whatever. And it was just such a weird, unsettling feeling that everyone knew that I was going through a rough patch, because 10th house sun, you just want to like hold it all together. And 10th house placements, you understand, are just like, no, everything's fine. Don't even worry about it. And really humbling experiences. So Saturn and uh, with Jupiter there, kind of like seems like bursting the energy.
Well, so with you, right? you were hit by these eclipses as well, right? Because the eclipse that happened that hit my ascendant and descendant and my partner's um, moon in midheaven also hit your Jupiter and lot of spirit, all right, in your 11th. Um, so I think that really that's like an expansion of, it's like it's not necessarily good, right? Maybe this is a key to
Yeah,
how
I
your
think I
Venus is
launched.
actually afflicted. Even though it's in domicile, it's afflicted because of this
Yeah.
distance from the sun, and that's why this eclipse was a negative activation for you, right? Because then it was like, oh yes, there's an expansion of being known in your network. It's just not for shit that you want to be known for, right?
hmm
Um,
And around that time
so
is when I think I started my current astrology business. I was kind of like a meme account for a while. And then in September, October 2022 is when I launched Northern Astrology or North Astrology as my Twitter handle. So it was definitely a maturation of sorts. I kind of had to grow up from my very first account was called Dim Planets, and it was like a reference from Ghostface in some song. I don't know. I can't remember the exact song, but like it was some random thing I heard, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go with that. So it's really interesting to look back on that time as like a bountiful time because it was like right before all the health crises happened in my family's world. So it was definitely like I got a nephew during that time, so that was kind of cool. And he was born on my parents' wedding anniversary, so I was like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, I love the family astrology stuff there too because like 3 degrees Taurus is the 33rd degree of the astrology cycle. So it's kind of a very powerful awakening degree too. So I like that that's where that was.
so yeah. Yeah, no, I also wanted to point something else out. Now, I hope this is not too personal, but
Yeah,
um
we're in it now.
all right. So, something that I have been seeing coming up in multiple different charts with clients recently is people that have skin conditions, right? Like eczema or other kinds of like skin conditions that Mercury is the ruler of the skin and tends to be afflicted. And I've noticed here, if we go by the seven traditionals, Mercury is separating from Saturn and is applying to Mars, right? And it doesn't see anyone else in between those times. So your Mercury is actually in a malefic enclosure. It's actually enclosed between Saturn and Mars. And I've just noticed this coming up with, um, with in multiple things recently, and I know that you have been um working on that, and I feel like that might improve once we get like because we're gonna have these eclipses in Pisces and Virgo pretty soon,
Yes.
right? And that might be like a moment where you can get kind of a breakthrough um resolution on that. I have another client that's having her Mercury being activated. She's in her Mercury is in a similarly afflicted position, and I think that by the time the eclipse cycle has passed through Aries and Libra, that she's gonna have a better idea of how to deal with this condition going forward. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there,
I
and
love that.
I think that this thing might lessen once we've had the nodes come through and clear stuff out, right? Because a lot of times the nodes they bring, so like the natal promise, right, has all these things in it, right? And then when eclipses pass through the different sectors of the chart, it can bring these deeply buried karmas to the surface, right? And it can transform them, right? And so I think eclipses are oftentimes they can be like heavy duty cleanses, right? Like let's say you're going on like a heavy drug detox or like a heavy metal cleanse or something like that. That's kind of what eclipses are for these sectors of your charts, right? And so I don't know. I'm optimistic that that might improve, but I don't know. I just wanted to point that out because that's a signature I've been seeing coming up over and over again. Mercury being afflicted as causing skin issues, and I know this is terrible to deal with. So,
Yeah, and
um,
Saturn ruling the skin has been something that I've really started to embrace and understand. A lot of my astrology work came from kind of like childhood into like, then I got to the point where I'm like, I'm a Pisces Aries cusp. And then I'm like, wait, that's not a thing. I'm actually a very infantile Aries sun, but like I was born after a solar eclipse in Pisces. So there's
yes,
definitely a huge Pisces energy about me. I was also born late. I was supposed to be born on March 4th. So that's definitely something that always makes me laugh is that I'm like, nah, I'm good. But the skin stuff is really cool because I feel like I'm getting rewarded for finally addressing it. And like sixth house Saturn is very difficult when it's squaring your sun. And it's like, I didn't know how to slow down for the longest time. My immune system was wrecked. I actually chimed into a thread on Twitter earlier a couple months ago where it said women are more susceptible to get autoimmune diseases because they stress themselves out to a point, and that's like after getting on a probiotic with my Virgo placements and then starting to prioritize my skincare, getting facial treatments and lymphatic drainage massages, really just women needing to prioritize taking care of themselves. Anyone needs to do that. Any person that needs to have an excuse to like just dive in and take care of themselves more, your immune system will thank you. So I really love that you point that out because I'm not one to shy away from talking about the things that I experience because it's like, hey, we're all going through this. And I think with all the PFAs and water and food and all these cancer causing chemicals and the things that we eat that are coming out with Uranus and Taurus and the final degrees, we're really going to see a transformation of the food systems, the way that we get to and from places. And we're going to see an expansion in medical care that's probably going back a little bit more, especially as Saturn moves into the later degrees of Pisces, back to a more natural state. But like, I'm getting very expensive, ridiculous treatments right now because I spent 20 years of my life working myself to death and never taking a moment for myself. And I read a book not that long ago that is talking about medical astrology and also psychology, and your skin represents your psyche. And what comes out and what is unearthed from there can show up on your skin. And when you don't take care of yourself, and when you let the public dictate your mood, and when you let yourself get into petty arguments, and when you let your energy go to places that it doesn't need to go, and you can ignore people as easily as you can engage with them. And really resetting your immune system and resetting your cortisol levels, like that's a big thing. And that was my Saturn return. So I came to find astrology during my Saturn return, and this came to light a lot more during that time. I was also misdiagnosed with a disease when I was going through my Saturn return and got treatments for said disease that I didn't actually have. These could have killed me. So it's a very
oh
much
wow,
the Saturn on the descendant is also poisoning. And I had that happen to me as a kid too. So it's like I'm well aware of the depths and the dark parts of my chart, but that's also how I've learned and healed so much through this ancient art, is because I dared to give myself a moment to be like, maybe there's more to me than just waking up, paying taxes, and fucking dying. Like maybe we should look a
yeah,
little bit deeper. And it's hard to do that when you're raised in the Bible Belt. I'll put it that way.
yeah, I know. I mean, but that's the kind of the beautiful thing about astrology. That's something that can be very comforting about it is that when you're going through really difficult times, a lot of times you're like, oh, it's always going to be this way, right? It's always like this is never going to improve. Like I'm always going to, I'm fucked, right? Like there's nothing that can be done. And astrology can show you that, like, no, like, all right, you just got to make it through here, right? And then things will get better, right? And that's been one of the really, empowering things. And like, what I, what I what I did myself and what so many people that get into astrology do that I try and help people with is like people will freak themselves out about transits or predictions or different things that are coming, and they'll be like paralyzed with fear and be like, oh shit, everything's gonna end, oh my god. But I mean, I've had that where I mean, I thought that when I was going through that transits that like broke up my marriage, I had convinced myself that something way worse was going to happen. And so when it was just my marriage falling apart, I ended up being relieved. Right? I was like, "Oh, good. It's not that." Right? I was like,
Oh, good. I still have my career.
I thought I was going to be, like
Eighth house is like, oh, good. I still have my property.
or something, right? So I was like, but you can always freak yourself out. It's really easy to get freaked out, and that's one of the things that I like to do when I read charts is that I have an optimistic perspective, and a lot of people come to me and say, this placement is sucks, right? And I always try and see the bright side of it because I see so many people going around telling themselves these stories about themselves, telling themselves these narratives about themselves, right? And what people don't realize is that they're casting spells on themselves, and they're literally making what they say real by the act of doing it, right? And so it's like, if you have that power, why are you gonna use it to kick yourself in the nuts repeatedly? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? Like, tell yourself something good, right? Don't tell yourself you're doomed. Like, you know, it doesn't do you any good to believe that anyway, right? Like even if you are doomed, like wouldn't you rather be like fucking
Doomed with
having
a
a
great
good time
attitude.
before the shit hits the fan, right? Do you really want to spend your time looking at charts and freaking out? And so that would be the number one message I have to people is like, astrology is really cool, but don't 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 get too so consumed with it that you start to catastrophize your chart or catastrophize the transits that are coming up. I mean, we've all done it. We all do it. Everyone is prone to it. But that's one thing that I feel like I'm pretty good at helping people to see the bright side in things, because a lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, my chart's fucking terrible," but they've got great stuff going on, right? And I want to use astrology to help people feel more empowered and more like themselves, and not to feel bad, right? I mean, um, it's also such a great tool to like if you just read someone's chart, then you can start telling them things about themselves and they feel like validated and understood, and they feel like, oh, well, yeah, I've always been like this, and like I've disliked that about myself, but now that you're telling me that it's here in my chart, like maybe I'm seeing another way where I can actually use that to my advantage, right? Like I can actually take these traits and transform them into something else that's useful for me. And that's where I think the true power in astrology lies, is that it unlocks a process of personal alchemy where you can, transmute things and overcome. Rather than being resigned to your fate, you can reach towards your destiny, right? And
That's beautiful.
that's the approach I try and bring.
And you have to see yourself as something more and allow yourself to see yourself as something more. There's a lot of people in this world that walk around not knowing how magical they are, just like you were talking about with the words are powerful. You don't realize what you're casting on yourself. And I think that's beautiful. I feel like there's people out there that can benefit from simply having an open mind. And that's a great place to start. If you don't know where to start, it's just like, hey, maybe the planets do have an impact, or maybe the celestial bodies do have an impact on us as human beings, and that can be where you start. I want to make astrology consumable, accessible, and just as much something that you check, like the weather, if you want to. I don't pay
Oh,
attention to
yeah.
the weather until it's gardening season. Then I'm like, it better fucking rain.
So yeah, that's the thing, is that also people like it when like if you can embrace yourself and be yourself, people respond well to that. Like I went through such a long period of time where I told no one that I was into astrology. Like I started looking into astrology around 2015, started getting pretty deep into it a couple years later, right? And from all that time, from 2015 to 2022, I told No one. Not even my
Wow.
closest friends, right? I even
That's
played it
eighth house
down to
energy
my
for you.
husband. Yeah, I even played it down to him because he would be like, "Oh, you don't really believe in this shit, do you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just curious, you know."
It's
But
whatever.
lucky enough for me, he didn't really give a shit too much about how I spent my time, and I didn't really have to cover that much. But then I decided, all right, I just got a thing like, all right, you need to bring this out and make and do this. And I was worried that, you know, with the profession I have being a lawyer, I was worried that people would think that I was crazy or irrational, or they'd lose respect for me, basically, right? But in fact, it's been the opposite. I've had people come to me that are attorneys I work with, and they're like, you know, Alex, I always thought that, you know, astrology was bullshit, but when I heard that you were doing these readings, you know, it made me think twice about it, and I've decided to, like, you know, keep an open mind about it because of you. And the thing is that, you know, lawyers are so cynical that, like, all you have to do, all I had to do was get a couple predictions right, and then all of a sudden the entire office wants their chart read, right? So people are then coming to me and being like, "Hey, you know, is the moon like fucked up right now because everyone is in such a bad mood, right?" You know,
Now all of a sudden everybody knows
so
when it's a Scorpio moon. Okay.
yeah, that's the other thing is that, you know, another thing I hear from people is that, you know, they don't have anyone to talk about this with in their real life, right? And they feel like they can only talk about it on Twitter. But what I'm saying is talk about it with people, right? Share about it with people because people are more open-minded than you think, and people like you more than you think, and people are willing to give you a chance. And so many people are just trapped by their own negative mindset, and I think, you know, you will find I've found a lot of people that are since I started being open about my interest in the occult and astrology. I have made a lot of contacts and personal friends in my local area that are also interested in it, and I would never have done any of that if I continued to feel self-conscious and not put myself out there, right? So that's what I think, and that's what I want to do with this show. That's why I led the inaugural episode with us posting our charts, because it's like, let's be open about this, guys. Let's make this is fun, right? And you know, it's a great way to bring people together and to talk, right? I love astrology, and then it gives us you know, it can help you understand and have empathy for people that are very different from you, right? You know, that's another thing that happens when people get into astrology is that they all of a sudden they feel like, oh well, you know, this person that I always had beef with, right? Like, and then I looked at their chart, and I understand why he's like that, right? You know, astrology can it's an amazing tool, and I just wish I just want to see it be used to bring people together and to make people feel better about themselves, because, you know, if you're not doing something good with it and you're not having fun, then what's the point?
Amen. Amen. And
Right.
that just goes to show, once again, round of applause for even starting the Astro quizzes, reaching out to be like, hey, would this be a cool idea? I'm like, hell yes. Immediately.
You're too
Give
kind. You're
me
too
less
kind.
details. I will be there.
You're too kind. Um, I can't accept too much praise. I would just thank you for coming on, and for everyone that was brave enough to show their chart. You know,
Yes.
also, we are going to be coming back with an episode of the Astrology Deathmatch show. So we're going to be making an announcement about that soon, but it is booked for Saturday, May 18th. I believe that's the day. Let
Ooh.
me check. Yeah,
And
Saturday,
if I
May
saw
18th.
correctly, you guys are
Yeah.
kind of looking for people to match up and people to beef with, or
Well, yes. So I've got episode 4 lined up. I know who's going. We've got the contestants for that already. That's going to be announced soon. But I am looking for more contestants that are willing to come on the Astro Deathmatch show. I will be, hitting people up that respond to the quizzes, because that's what I want to do. Is I want to put a spotlight on you guys that participate in the quizzes every week, because I'm so grateful for you guys doing that, and it makes it so much fun. And I want to have the people come on the quiz show that are the people that do the quizzes every week. So anyone that is interested in coming on the show, coming on the deathmatch show, coming on this show, just send me a DM on Twitter or an email. The email's in the description, and I'll be in touch.
I love it because if anybody has like secret or not secret astrology beef, like just squash it. This is a great year to do that. You have
Oh yeah,
from now
also
until
anyone that has me blocked. If you unblock me and you
yes,
on the show, I will say yes, right? I'm not I don't hold grudges. I'm Mars and Pisces after all. I forgive, right? So even if
yeah,
or maybe, but I realize that it could be. I mean,
yeah.
if you
I might have some
me,
people
it's
blocked.
okay, right? It's fine.
I do have
But
some people blocked that I would not really want to like, you know, talk to that much, but it'd be interesting. So bring them forward. If there's secret haters that want to just duel me,
I
I'm
mean,
fine with it too.
I would actually be more in my element if my co-host was someone that I was antagonistic with, right? Like that's what I want. I want to get I want to get someone on the show that it's like where it's like nasty and mean. That's where I really shine, right? Like I'm a
Do
lawyer
you
for
have
Christ's
any
sake.
like yes. Do you have any like public recognized feuds with like public figures of any sort, like celebrities or anything? Like sometimes I just beef with people because they irritate me. Like Paul Rudd went to my like rival high school and he just like popped up at every event that I worked on because he's from Kansas City, obviously. And so I would just get so annoyed. And then I got into Marvel and he's in all that Ant-Man stuff. And I'm like, damn it. But like it wasn't actually serious.
No, I don't think I have any beef with any public figures, but I do have a story about Hillary Clinton and when I met her in person, and
Oh my
I
God.
trolled her. So it was 2008 when Hillary Clinton was on the campaign trail, against Barack Obama, and she came to my town, and so there's that picture of Hillary Clinton. Let's see if I can it's where she's got her mouth like this, but holding back laughing, right? And I put that picture right next to the Bat Boy picture. So let me pull this up. So
I'm like, you got to give us a visual here. You
yeah,
can't just tell
yeah,
us
here
this.
we go. Here we go. So it's like, all right. So
Oh my
she's got
God.
her head pulled back in one of these poses. It's not any. Oh, it's not any of these pictures,
Oh
but
my
it's
God.
like
But that, I like how
where
I'm pointing
actually
to the screen.
and then you got Bat Boy, right? And so I put Bat Boy right next to Hillary Clinton and put it on a T-shirt with the caption like is Hillary Clinton Bat Boy's mom, right? That was the caption on the T-shirt. And to her credit, I went up there and met her in person with this shirt, and her response was to throw her head back and laugh just like she was in the picture on my shirt. And then she signed it. She signed the shirt, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, I have to hand it up to her. Like, she dealt with my heckling 10 out of 10 response to
Would
my
heckle
heckling,
again.
for Hillary Clinton. So I got to give her props for doing that.
That's
um,
so fucking funny.
so that's my only. That's probably the most famous person I've interacted with. I would say,
Okay.
in a antagonistic fashion.
Yeah. I can see that. I used to get in like beefs with like sports writers and stuff, but yeah, politicians. Yeah, actually, I was at a movie premiere. I was dating a guy that was former special forces, and that movie 12 Strong that came out, I don't know, like 2018, I think. It was about an invasion and it was Middle East stuff, conflict. Look at me, number one geopolitical expert here. And Sam Brownback, the governor of Kansas, is just a complete fucking mess. He like made us go bankrupt. He hated anyone that dared to be different than him. and just really fucking bankrupted Kansas. And so when they were introducing the whole crowd of people, because we were all sharing one movie theater, and then like the vice president of Iraq or Iran was randomly there, and I'm like, where am I? This is a very strange group of people I'm in, and I'm wearing a Coogee sweater. I did not take it seriously. I took edibles beforehand, and I'm like, I am high and around diplomats. It's weird. And they announced, like, it's some fucking prize. They announced Sam Brownback is here, and both my dad and my ex put their hands over my mouth at the same moment because they were afraid I was going to start booing. And I'm like, come on, I have some manners, damn it. Not much, but some. So yeah, that was the antagonistic ish. I smoked a joint with Dave Chappelle in an alleyway in Minneapolis.
That
Yeah,
sounds fun. That sounds
I just
cool.
got reminded
Like
about
something
that.
to do.
Yeah. I kind of forgot about it until my friend reminded me, and I was like, oh shit, I guess that did happen. But like, just random stuff. It's fun. It's fun to have those moments. Like the fact that Hillary had a whole moment with you and took it so well. I'm shocked by that, I guess. I don't know why. Her chart would be a fun one to pull up too.
I mean, she's a pro,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
Like, if you can't handle some 18-year-old, like, punk ass kid with some troll t-shirt, then, like, what are you doing? Like, you can't be on her level, right? Like, you can say what you
2008 was
want
like,
about Hillary Clinton. I'm not a huge fan of Hillary Clinton. I would never, you know, go that far. But I do respect the panache and the tenacity that it takes to be in the public eye for that long, especially to have so many people fucking hate you, right? And to still just keep going. I mean, you have to respect someone that keeps going despite everyone like just fucking hating on you constantly, right? So, uh, you know,
I really
you
love that
keep going, right?
Gemini energy is like, you got to respect the fact that someone's willing to go even though they're fucking terrible at what they do. Oh man, I love that so much because if you don't have a sense of humor about life in general, the show probably isn't gonna work out. But like maybe it'll help you develop one. Because man, it's like looking at life through that big picture lens that we can all kind of find that like journey around the stars and through the stars, and we can all help each other out. Just common experiences, common shared things. Laughter is great medicine. So my goal is to take things less seriously this year for sure. And I think this is going to be a great way to do that.
Oh yeah, take it less seriously, have a drink, um, have a good time, right? As soon as we're born, we start dying. So you might as well have a good time,
Yeah.
right? Like fucking the clock is ticking, guys. Like if you're not doing what you want, why?
What the fuck else are you waking up for? You're magical. Realize it. We'll help you. That's why anyone that's like putting out their chart, and we're definitely going to try and help you find whatever magical things. I know that sooner rather than later, we're going to get a Google Forms thing set up, and then you guys can kind of like just fill in all the rest,
Yes,
and
so
we'll get some
we're
more
gonna
progression.
so we're gonna be coming back monthly with these shows, right? For the live Astro reads, and I am going to finesse the formula a little bit. What I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna try and get a dedicated phone line, right, to call in
Ooh.
on the show, right? Like that's the plan for episode 2. So episode 2 will be a better where we're not just interacting through chat or having one random person pop up on the video. What we'll do is we will have a phone line. I just need to figure out how to implement it. We'll get a phone line, and then you can call in, and you be in like a queue, and then we can put you on. So that's the plan for these shows. Me and Gracey are planning to be back here each month. We're gonna try and stagger them. So it'll be like when the sun enters a sign, right? It's the death match, and when the sun is kind of in the middle of a sign, we'll do the Astro live, right? So
Yeah.
that's
I like
kind of
that first of the month energy. It's cool.
yeah. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna be back here. We'll keep you guys updated, but thank you everyone for turning out and for participating. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again next month. And thank you so
Same.
much,
Thank you
Gracey,
guys.
for being my co-host. It's been great.
Yes, lots of laughs, lots of learning. Best combination by far.
And signing off, you know, for signing off for Gracey, I'm Alex Harper, and the cigarette is Camel, right? So just say no, guys, right? Stick to the legal stuff. That is the official motto, right? I know that you've got legal weed over there, but I'm living in Indiana, right? I'm under the dark ages, right? So, you know, I don't know if I'm ever going
It'll be
to
lifted soon. We're
ever gonna get
we're
to smoke weed,
decriminalized.
right? Because obviously, yeah,
Hey,
I mean, I'm just waiting for the legalization.
Tom Petty would want you guys to legalize this shit.
I think we'll be
He
the
deserves
last state in
more.
the nation to fucking legalize it. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Anyway, all right, guys, peace out. Have a good one.